in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right, baby let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
We're bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. Listen, guys, we're going to have a star-studded show on tonight. We're going to have the lovely Beth Payne from How to Get Away with Murder. Beth is an actress that was featured in many films back that goes back to 2004, and she's also a comedian. And to put it on the more flippant side, one should say How to Get Away with Catering. But we're not going to talk about that as much. We'll get into that sometime later today. And then also we're going to have the maestro Blair Nash. Blair Nash was going to be with us. He's going to give some credence and credibility to why many women feel that it's unnecessary to cater to their man. I want you to sit back, relax tonight, and enjoy this show as I drop some kosher fire for your mind. And in the process of dropping that fire, I want you to ask yourself the question, is it okay to cater? And if it's not okay to cater, let's talk about it and give us the question why. And remember this, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. We're going to have a star-studded show once again. And hopefully you'll get something from this show and learn how to cater to your man and see the importance of it as it relates to building Black families and Black communities. Be well.
You can't shame me about going to Thailand. You can't shame me about going to Africa
right.
or Portugal or Morocco.
Right.
Them days are over. They're over.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of Black women don't believe the fat meat is greasy. Right. But I'll tell you what, if I bet that, you're gonna find out for sure. Yes, I am from North Carolina. I am country, and I embrace all that. So,
okay. Don't want to use that. Damn, the fat meat is greasy, but you know what? It goes back also. Something ominous is going on in America as marriage rates are dropping at a high rate, and for the first time ever, about 29% of men are actually virgins. I wanted to do this show as a precursor to the show tomorrow, and the topic of that show would be, is it okay to cater to a man that you love? We live in very turbulent times when I feel that many people have a term which I've combined called a schema affliction. A schema is a pattern of thinking that permeates the thought and the consciousness. And that schema can be good or bad. But an affliction is actually something that happens when a person goes through pain. I combine the terms to more or less give you guys some type of insight to what's going on in America. The schema affliction that I see a lot of times with a lot of men is that some actually devalue themselves and they devalue their worth, which has led to many women not dealing with men, and a lot of men are actually virgins. But the schema affliction for a lot of the women is that some have an overvalue of themselves and what they actually bring to relationships. Catering to a man was basically something normal back in the past. But we live in a time where men and women are actually at odds because some think they're better and some think they're less. And because of that, relationships are actually faltering at an all-time high. And a lot of the men actually feel, what is it in for me to get in a relationship? I want you guys to enjoy this show and understand why a schema affliction or a schema affliction has become so prevalent in America. This pattern of thinking, that's what Brother Eric Spencer and I talked about a couple of shows ago, that many don't think that the fat meat is greasy. And see, unfortunately, there's a percentage of our women that don't think that the fat meat is greasy because the fat meat symbolizes toxicity of mind, it symbolizes entitlement, and it symbolizes a lot of the things that are very onerous to a man. Men are very simple creatures, and most men just want to be loved, honored, and respected. But because unfortunately we have a percentage of our women that don't believe in catering to a man, their schema of affliction will actually cause them pain in the future. You know, the beer virus showed that a lot of people were actually in destitute areas when they didn't have the love and the support of their man. And with government programs faltering and with some women having eviction rates, it will be wise and prudent for her to cater to a good, righteous man. Now listen, we're not talking about dusty men. We know there are some men out here that need work. We know there are some men that are horrible and they don't deserve the catering of a good woman. But I believe that because we have over 51% of men that have never been married or don't have children, they need to be catered to if you want to have a healthy relationship. But unfortunately, I don't see relationships coming back to the way that they were in the past. And because of that schema affliction, many men are saying, you know what, to hell with it. Is the fat meat too greasy to break that schema affliction? Or will many go to the grave alone because they are unwilling to introspect? Will they continue to use tired talking points like, you know, your mom is black or you hate black women? Or will they look within themselves and try to come together and get with good, decent men so they can build parity and have better outcomes? I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as we talk about the dangers of a schema affliction. And listen, to the guys that are listening, at some point, I'm going to start doing non-diagnostic consultations. I am a real clinical therapist. I'm not a fake, I'm the real deal. And I'm going to start doing non-diagnostic consultations to help you guys deal with the schema afflictions that many are experiencing in this current milieu called America. And remember this, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And understanding female psychology is one, and also understanding the need to have great health as it relates to reducing stress, which leads to death. Sit back and relax and enjoy this show as we bring it to you live from the greatest state of the union. Be well. All right. We got the crew in the house tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, where are you guys at? So tonight we're going to be talking about a myriad of issues. And the question goes back to a show that I did in the past. And that show was more or less formulated coming from the group of Destiny's Child. And the topic of discussion would be, or is there a schema affliction in America as it relates to catering to a man? We live in very turbulent times in America where families are not only broken, but there appears to be a gender war between men and women because we can't get along. This show is dedicated to the men out there that are listening. It's dedicated to men that are actually in a state of disrepair and they feel voiceless. But we're going to have a diverse panel on tonight. We're going to have the lovely and the talented and the actress, Beth Payne. Beth Payne is a philanthropist. Beth Payne also hails from the city of California. And Beth is known to more or less have been in several shows or more or less movies. And also she's a comedian. And Beth also was in the 2004 How to Get Away with Murder. And then we're going to have the maestro, Blair Nash. Blair Nash is a relationship expert. And he's going to be joining this diverse panel as we talk and more or less compare and contrast what's going on in America and how this schema affliction is impacting relationships and the vibrancy of our community. And then our second guest is going to be Dr. O. McCoy. I call her the 6-shooter out of Texas. And she's going to come in and give some feedback from a traditional Black woman perspective. And my dear friend, Sister Jolita Johnson, an educator out of Ohio, and a couple of few other people that are going to be dropping in. So I want you guys to be intentional on today. And to the ones that are listening, get the likes up because we're going to have a star fire-packed show. And when you can, and you feel like these shows are benefiting you, please $ Cash App 7 Smalls. I'm going to be doing non-diagnostic consultations in the future. And so at some point, inbox me at thekosherclinician.com. So we're about to start. Guys, please get ready because we're about to drop some fire for your mind. So we have the talented Beth Payne. Beth Payne hails from the city of, I believe, San Diego. How you doing, dear?
I actually don't hail from San Diego, but I'm going to take San Diego because it's so beautiful there. I am in California, and yeah, I have family and friends and good friends in San Diego, and there's some programs there that I'm working on in terms of wellness and health. So I'm going to take that as a prophetic word and say thank you so much. And it's I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Hey, Dr. O. I'm sorry, I had to holler at her.
Hello, dear. Hello. It's a pleasure, Beth, to have you on. Real quick, Beth, I want you to tell, I probably butchered your intro, but tell the audience a little bit about who you are and your humanitarian cause as it relates to families and communities.
Well, I think that, first of all, I have a background, and thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you and all the incredible esteemed panelists. I feel very blessed to share this second week of July, I believe it is for us, and what an honor and a privilege. I have been an actress and a comedian for over the last 20 plus years, and then came back to school to further my education, health, and wellness, because I just feel that our community is lacking so much, not only physically, mentally, but also spiritually. Right. And I believe that only ways that we can heal is if we are real. And I think a lot of us don't want to deal with their childhood traumas. A lot of us don't want to face even why we eat the way we eat, because again, it's through repetition of bad habits, bad lifestyles. It's grandma's mac and cheese, but that mac and cheese is full of casein, which is an opioid. And so we're not aware of that has an addictive behavioral stimuli to us. And so the only way I can teach my family and loved ones how to understand food and what it does in the body is to become a food technologist, a healthy lifestyle advocate, and basically go back to school at half of 100 and use my entertainment background and utilize the platforms such as yourself to any other ones where I can create and manifest some great things. I was the voice for many animation series from Maya Miguel to Boondocks. You've seen me, your children have heard me for years announcing shows and various magazines and what have you. But I tell you what, God says in his word is that what we do for him will last. So I want to be a person that not just uses one of my talents and gifts, but I want to use them all. And I'm honored to be here. And that's just a little bit. I speak 7 languages fluently by the grace of God. I love children, and I am a huge advocate of making a difference. So I'm happy to be here with all these amazing people. And thank you.
Well, it is a divine honor to have the talented Beth Payne on the show. Now, we got the 6 shooter from Texas, Dr. O. McCoy. And listen, we're going to be talking about a myriad of things. And so listen, guys, I want you to share this show because there's a crisis in America, and that crisis is tied to what I call a schema affliction. A schema affliction is a term that I coalesce or combine to talk about the fixated thinking in the minds of many American men and women. And because there's affliction, it's been associated with a lot of pain. So, Dr. O, tell the audience who you are, and then we're going to go to the relationship coach, Blair Nash. Go ahead, Dr. O.
Well, I am Dr. Omolola McCoy. I'm out of Texas, and I also reside in Illinois. I have a residence in Illinois also. I am a Black healthcare executive by profession. I am a mentor to several women, young ladies, whoever need me, I'm coming. I'm working on some projects with the Texas Youth Commission. I mentor several men and women in different reading programs, battered women shelters, you name it, I've probably done it. 12-year veteran, graduate degrees, that's me in a nutshell.
Great. Now, but not least, I call him the maestro. We got the maestro, Blair Nash, in the house. Blair Nash, there is a crisis in America, and that crisis has led to a schema affliction based in what I call cognitive distortion, Blair, where some men feel like they're not worthy of being catered to, and then there's a percentage of some women that feel like they're not going to cater to a man. As you know, and I know, Michelle Williams, I can't think of her name, Destiny's Child, they tried to cancel that young lady because of it. And so I want you to tell the audience, Blair, one, who you are, and should men expect to be catered to in relationships?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. First of all, like everyone else said, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I am Blair Nash. I am also from Ohio, dating coach. I have 3 books. You can go to my webpage, blairnashspeaks.com, to check out my books. I have a 4th one coming. It'll be called Throwing the Rose-Colored Glasses Out the Window. Be on the lookout for that. It should be dropping sometime, hoping in October or November. So putting the last like editing touches on that as we speak. Also, I'm a matchmaker as well. Yeah, I heard about the thing about Michelle Williams, Destiny Child, the Cater to You, and how people were kind of up in her, kind of trying to, cancel the song. I don't exactly know how you cancel a song, but I did hear that. I heard that. I do think it's, for lack of a better term, it's downright pathetic to think that we as men have one ode to women catering to us, and women are like, we don't even want to hear that. So I think it's the saddest thing ever. And it just, like you said earlier, Mr. Smalls, it just speaks to how far we've fallen down the mountain as far as how a majority of our Black women look at Black men. I think it's just unfortunate. It's just really sad. It really is.
Well, it is sad. And listen, guys, somebody needs to mute their mic. There's some static in the back. So, guys, mute your mic, and as you come on, then unmute yourself, okay? But you're correct. Thank you. You're correct, Blair. It's really sad that, my uncle just passed away. My Uncle Frank, he was a man's man. He was 81. And, when I look at the pictures, I see the pictures of his wife catering to him. You can see the masculine and the feminine. But now it appears that if you cater to a man, it's seen as some type of slavery. And so I want to ask you guys a couple of questions. We're going to do a psychic soul train. We're going to let Dr. McCoy be in the soul train. She can start it off. But we're going to be in a psychic soul train. And I want to ask you the question, Dr. O, should a woman cater to her man? Yes or no?
Well, I'm going to say absolutely. If they're worthy to be catered to, and they are, as you stated, a man's man, doing everything that a man is supposed to do, absolutely. But I think a lot of times what women are doing is mixing up the bad men, the Ray Rays and the Pookies and the mans, with the great brothers, like you guys here on the panel. And I think that is where the problem come into. They throw all of you guys into that one pot, and they don't feel like men should be catered to. But I'm traditional. I was raised traditional, and I believe that men deserve a form of catering. I feel like, as women, as wives, we should cook for our men. We should support our men. We should be that soft pillow, to lay on, after the day is complete. Food, ears, quiet. That's what I believe.
All right. In this psychic soul train, we're going to take it to the maestro, the relationship expert, Blair Nash. Should a woman cater to her man, Blair Nash? Yes or no? Unmute yourself, brother.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Just like Omalola said, yeah, you should. If you don't feel that this man is worthy, if you don't feel that he is of some sort of kingly nature, then why are you even with him? You need to go seek someone else to treat in a certain way. So yeah, and then I think the next question you have to say to yourself, then what exactly does cater mean? When you say cater, what does that mean? I think when women think of cater, they think of, I would probably almost think they kind of envision themselves being the woman in Coming to America, where she's hopping up on one foot and she's saying, whatever you want, whatever you need, baby, anything you need, I'll do for you. And I don't think everything has to be quite that exaggerated, but I think like Dr. McCoy said, you do have to say to yourself, this is my man. This is the person who I've chosen to lead my family. This is the person I listen to. This is the person who's going to be my protector, my provider. And if you don't feel that he is worthy of a certain level of submissiveness, i.e. catering to, then, what are you doing with this person? So, you know, we joke around a lot of times, and I think Dr. McCoy hinted at this, that, you know, they have, you know, a lot of our women have no problem, you know, submitting and being catering to the drug dealers and the pookies and all these other guys. But when a certain type of man comes along and he is to be respected, all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm not about to cater to him. I'm not about to be submissive to this guy. And so now you have to say, well, why not? Why would you give your everything and be so, you know, just lay at all these other men's feet? But then when you have a man who's worthy, all of a sudden it's like, I'm not about to do that. So then you have to kind of examine, you know, what is the reason behind it? So like I said, I think the first thing you have to say is, what is catering to a man? So I guess that we can open that question up.
Excellent question. Excellent expose. Now to the lovely Jalita Johnson that hails from the city, the Ohio state of the Buckeyes. You know, she can't mess with my Tar Heels, but anyway, is it okay?
Time out. What?
Hey, don't forget. Don't stunt. You see it over there. You see that? You see that shrine of greatness over there. Don't get it twisted.
Knock it off.
So, Miss Johnson, tell the audience.
Higher in the same city.
I'll bring some Tar Heels in here.
That's all I'm talking junk. But Miss Johnson, you are an eloquent woman. I think you and Dr. McCoy and the Beth Paynes of the world personify grace and dignity. And, you know, we're Generation X's, majority of us. We came up in a time where this schema of affliction started. Should a woman cater to her man? Yes or no?
Yes, if she understands the power of femininity, she should love to cater to her man. I mean, I don't think there's nothing as powerful as femininity, and pouring that on your man. Oh, wow. I mean, just to watch, no matter what type of man he is, they just melt. They can't resist that. So when I hear women who have a problem with that, I'm like, that means you don't understand your power. You're not walking in your femininity. If you have a problem with catering to your man, or you shouldn't be with that type of man if you don't want to cater to him. So yes, definitely, I love catering to my man. Because it's just a beautiful thing to use your power, your femininity, and to see how no matter what that man is going through, what it does to him, how it transforms him from a bad day to a good day. So yes.
Guys in the back, please mute yourselves.
Definitely a woman should use it if she understands that.
You're 100% correct. Now, once again, in this Psychic Soul Train, we have the beautiful actress, Beth Payne. Should a woman cater to her man? And if so, I want you to tell the audience why.
I agree with everything that all the speakers have shared thus far. You shouldn't be with someone that you don't want to cater to. So I think that when a woman doesn't want to cater to that person, it's because they're not supposed to be with them. I don't think it's pretty much a no-brainer. If you don't desire to make him happy and utilize, I love what the last doctor just spoke about, your feminine power. And I think because all of us are in that same Generation X, we were raised when that whole thing was being changed, where that whole reference of our femininity was being questioned, of whether or not you could hold your strength up if you allowed a man to open your doors and all these other different things that men are supposed to do for us. As a gentleman should be, it will pull him. You can either bring out the fool or the king in a man. And so I think by allowing yourself to embrace your femininity at whatever capacity that is. Literally, I was gardening before the show. That's why I got this right on my hands. Well, we're going to put on some lips and make it happen, because that's a part of my femininity that I carry on from my grandmothers, my mama. It's about getting in touch with that earth. Now, some men may not be into that, but the ones will appreciate the rag and the dirt and all of those things that I do, because that's a part of who I am. And I celebrate that by making something for someone out of my garden, or just discussing that. For some men, it just excites them. So I think that with women, we have lost a lot of girls, especially this generation, doesn't understand the power and the effectiveness of you celebrating those things that make you so special. We don't have to be men. And a lot of young women, unfortunately, did not have fathers. So you've got a lot of angry single mothers and single women who have dominantly, overtly anger towards their father, which then they transcend that to their significant other, their husband, their spouse. They expect their boyfriend to become their dad, and that's not his job. And so I think what the problem is not necessarily catering to a man, but more like your man, because every man doesn't deserve your submission either. I'm gonna say that again, because a lot of women too that are given to the pookies in them are catering to the wrong people for the wrong reason. And so your submission is a gift. So everybody doesn't, you can be courteous and kind and sweet and polite and beautiful to everybody and have a beautiful spirit, but that submission is a gift that should be honored by the man that God put in your life for you to submit under, because you can't trust everybody with your submission. So I think that it's a double-edged sword in the sense of understanding who you give that gift to, maybe why you should give them that gift, and if they qualify for it, because everybody's not qualified. And so if you're not qualified, then there's no need for you to submit your application for me to cater to you. I will cater to me. I will respect and honor myself. And by honoring me, I'm going to honor you, but I'm not just going to give you my submission just because you want it. That has to be something that is earned. And I have to know that you're going to trust me, and I can trust you enough to not disrespect me, to not dishonor me, and disarm my vulnerability to you in that instance. Because a lot of women that are angry have done that, unfortunately, because they have misconstrued the relationship with what the man was either giving them, doing for them, or filling a void that they didn't get from their fathers. So I think that it's more important that we address the need of fulfilling those voids and getting the therapy for that. So that way, when we go into a relationship with a man, we're meeting them whole. We're not looking for them to complete us. We're not looking for them to make us, because we were made before we got to them. But what we are here to do is to be their helpmate and to be a blessing to them and to pour into their lives the love that God gives us to give them. And then they can in turn give it to us. So I just think it's kind of a bigger, there's some layers to it. And I think it is a simple situation when you're with the man that you have submitted to, that you in a committed relationship with. But if you're trying to figure that out, I think a lot of women need to understand, because maybe they didn't have a father or auntie or a big sister or somebody or older woman to mentor them in their lives to say, baby, these are the things that you need to look at. These are the things you should be looking for. You know, if you're looking for a pimp, then you're going to be excited about flashing the pants. You're going to be excited about the drug dealer money. But he's going to pimp you. And you need to understand that. And so if you don't want that, and you want more than that, then you got to bring more to the table. You got to come up on your femininity skills. You got, and not so much of the neck moving ministry, but more about learning how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of your finances, how to grow, how to be healthy, add value to you so that the man that God puts in front of you will see you as a gift. You know, when we think about Esther, Queen Esther, he offered her everything, but she had so much value. She was prepared. Ruth was working. She was gleaning in the field. She wasn't sitting back collecting checks from doing nothing. Right? She was building. So a man that's about something wants to be with a woman that's about something, that has goals. It doesn't mean that you have to be making $1 gazillion or that you got to be balling out of control. But what does, a man wants to know that you think about money, that you are conservative. You're not going to just spend like you're crazy. He wants to know that you that you have some self-respect and dignity, that you're not on the gram you're not thirst trapping out in these streets. So, you know, and that you can handle a conversation with him, whether it's constructive criticism whether it's, are you going to fly out the handle if he mentions something to you that you not, how are you going to deal with conflict? How are you going to handle, because we as women, a lot of times you catch us on that 28th day, we ready to cut you. So ladies, we have to learn how to control our emotions. And again, that's a part of gaining power of your femininity.
No doubt. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. Free period, honey. It's just certain people you just don't need to be around, including yourself. So don't go out with him. Just say, baby, give him a warning. I think my cycle's about to come and my emotions are on 25. And so I'm a little bit more sensitive right now than I would normally be. And I think even if you say these conversations and we talk about getting to know, that's all a part of, I just want to love you at my best capacity. You know, we need to learn how to say, sweetheart, you're so amazing. That's just so beneath your pedigree, baby. You are so, you have to learn how to cultivate words to get a man to do what you want. A man, listen, in the Bible, it says the man is the head and the woman's the neck. The power is here, but you can turn that head in any direction you want it to go. But if you're talking crazy, you can choke off the head. If you're being evil and doing silly stuff, you can choke the head off and you cut it off and you cut off everything. So you have to ask yourself, what's my goal in a relationship? That's my quick answer.
You are intellectual. You're an Aquarius, so you know you're very expansive in your thought. But so to the snake whisperer and also Alexandra that's listening. But I'm gonna ask the women first. Alexandra, if you're listening, there, you're hiding somewhere.
Hi, I'm here. Yes.
But should a woman cater to her man? And if so, tell the audience why. But before you do that, Alexandra, before you do it, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Listen, I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 subs, man. I got a lot of hope and I got a lot of plans for the Coach and Clinician, and I'm honored to have such a distinguished panel. We got Beth Payne, that was an actress in the past on How I Got Away with Murder, but we should have called the title How I Got Away with Catering. But Alexandra, should a woman cater to her man? If so, tell the audience why.
So thank you for having me again this week. And hello, everyone. Good evening. I don't think that I can add anything to what everyone has already stated. I mean, I pretty much agree with all the points made. And I just want to piggyback on a statement that was made that I think not only does catering, right? And I'm doing air quotes because to me, that's just part of being with a person, with your husband, your man. I don't like to call it cater. It's part of how the relationship should be. But I think words of encouragement is a huge one. Besides taking care of your partner, your husband, your significant other, I mean, whatever you want to call it, with cooking and cleaning and making sure that they're okay, you also have to uplift them. You have to keep them motivated and be that person and give words of encouragement and, you're a great person and feed their soul and their emotions as much as you feed their bodies. So that's the only point that I wanted to add there. But everyone else, I kind of agreed with everything you said. I don't think I can add anything of value there.
Okay, excellent. The snake whisperer, I call him the conscious crab. Should a woman cater to her man, and if so, why? And listen, guys, if you like what we're doing, please donate $7 Smalls. Look, we got some home run hitters in here tonight, man. So we should have more numbers up. But listen, to the moderators, please share this show because our women need to more or less hear why a man needs to be catered to. Our communities are faltering. We got nearly over 70% of kids being born out of wedlock. Or in single parent homes, and over 6% being born out of wedlock. So a lot of our women and a lot of our men are dysfunctional. So to Gene, should a woman cater to her man? Yes or no? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I said absolutely. And I agree with what everyone said, but I also have a different take on it. So the thing about love is supposed to be a verb, right? A verb means it requires action. So when you're saying that you love someone, but everything that you're supposed to do for them that is a manifestation and expression of that love you don't want to do, like that is just absurd. You cannot love someone without action. It is mandatory. It's mandatory, or else it's not love. And so these women are saying that they love men, but everything that they're supposed to do that makes a man feel loved, they don't want to do. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And then the other thing that I want to say is that there's a component here that we're really not talking about. And it's this. The idea of not catering and not doing things, it only comes up when Black women are talking about Black men. If you go into the spaces where Black women are just swirling in divestment groups, anywhere where they're trying to get other men who are not Black, be them white or non-Black, they are paying money to learn how to be feminine. They're paying money to learn how to cater to a man. So that's reserved for us. And that's a huge problem that no one's really talking about. It's like we'll never figure this out without addressing the racial component. Why do these women feel that Black men are not worth catering to? Because they have entire movements out there to beg men that don't want them to want them so that they can cater to them. Think about that. So it's not, again, love is a verb requires action, but that racial component, man, we gotta look at that too, because there's a whole lot of evidence out there that these women have no problem catering when the man is not Black.
You gonna drive me to drink? Wait a minute, I had to stop. This ain't my turn to talk.
Hold tight. So Blair, you're a relationship coach. You wrote 3 books. And so when you think about the 3 books that you wrote, Blair, you call a lot of heat for one of the books you wrote. I don't know which one it was, but let me go with my Leo cabinet, man. Let me go with my cabinet. And y'all guys need to go check out this brother, Blair Nash. Blair Nash is what I call the maestro. And listen, get these likes up, guys, and make sure you guys donate to 7 Smalls.
I was going to say I took a lot of heat from my last one because
which one was it?
Yeah, the one on your right, the one on your right, the far right. Yes, right. That. Yeah, I took a lot of heat for that one because.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I really went, there's a moment, and one of my favorite rappers is Jay-Z. He said there's a moment where there's a time where you have a moment of clarity. And so in 2017, I started kind of really doing a lot of research and talking to a lot of people who are, extremely educated. And they told me, go and check out, go read this, and go check out this and listen to this YouTube link. And so I started doing it. I started putting all the pieces together. And I said, you know what? In a lot of ways, our women are kind of playing us. And I said, and they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, there's a lot of, and fellas, back me up with this one. So, and I'm going to speak for myself, and I'm going to be very, very transparent. So when I was out here, the Blair Nash that I am now is a totally different Blair Nash than I was 10 years ago, right? But, like most men, I had a past. And I had never, ever, ever had any women have any problem catering to me, no matter how badly I treated them. No matter how, whatever I did, they always treated me well, right? So and the gentleman with the white hat on, what's your name again?
Gene,
you mentioned something about what is it about Black women that they don't want to cater to men? And I will agree with you, but I'll kind of make a caveat. What is it about Black women that don't want to cater to certain type of men?
Right.
Because as we've been saying on this panel for pretty much the majority of the evening, the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Don Quaviuses and all that, they get catered to. Right. Yeah. They get flunked, they get trips, they get, women signing cars for them, and they, I'll buy you some J's and I'll do it. I can come over your house at 3 a.m, knock on the door or whatever, and you let me in and we can go do it. They cater to these men, right? My question, and I think this is one of the reasons why the panel's together, why is it that there are a certain type of Black men that our women don't cater to?
Right.
That's, I think, the question that we have to speak to.
That's an excellent point. And I think it goes back to negative socialization. As a clinical therapist, we look at 2 variables, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, but also we look at something called nature versus nurture. We live in a lot of dysfunctional families now where a lot of kids have not been socialized to see healthy relationships. And because of that, simple things like catering to a man is seen as something negative. But here's the crazy thing, Blair. You know, it appears to me that traditional Black men are still expected to adhere to a traditional archetype of provider and protector.
Absolutely.
But a lot of our women think it's slavery to cater to a man. Listen, I came back from Brazil, you know, and Brazil is a beautiful country where the women are fit, they're feminine, oh my God. Yeah, you know.
We get the picture.
You go to Brazil, man, you've seen that old gospel hymn. You seen that old gospel hymn. I think I'll run on and see what the end gonna be.
Yeah, we get it.
But wait a minute. He just finished fussing about how women, the white hat, who made me go get a beverage. Just talk about how Black women.
Hey, I make a lot of people go get beverages. Don't feel bad.
For others, wait a minute. For others and catering to them. And then you just talked about going to Brazil. I ain't mad because I speak 7 languages. I ain't mad at nobody. but what I am saying is that if you went over there, you're talking about how fit and how feminine they are, right? And every woman on this panel has been very agreeable with the men in terms of us being able to cater. So I don't like, as a Black woman, being categorized either into all of us do this and all of us do that.
But nobody said that. Nobody said that.
Yeah.
When 4 of the Black educated women that you have here have already said, as a woman, you should want to do that. So we're not. Right. I don't want it to be a thing where we're saying, and who cares? I don't care that you went to Brazil. Go back and bring somebody back here and make some pretty babies and live your best life. I don't care. Because she may have a problem. And I'm not mad at that either because I speak Portuguese. It's not a problem. I think that in general, if we're talking in general that women should cater to their men, whatsoever he is, just like you went and lived your best. I'm so glad you shared with us about your field trip because you should go. And I think we should go. And I don't think it should be a problem for nobody to be catered by anybody, no matter.
But Beth, hold tight.
No matter, Because he said something I'm supposed to do is reserved for him. But he was all, brother, go on here.
But hold tight, Beth. Beth, hold tight.
No. So you're playing, that's not fair. So if you
hold tight,
be all the way around, because I can go to Brazil, Japan, Italy, pick a region in a country, honey. I bet you I got the language down.
Okay, well, hold tight, Beth. That's not an indictment to the. That's not an indictment to the lovely ladies on the panel. So this panel is part of women that we deem to be awesome women. So that's not an indictment to the ladies on the panel. We're talking about the broader society. So we're gonna. It's an understanding that you, Dr. O, Jalita, and also Alexandra are awesome women. But see, these shows, Beth, is more or less a collaboration of men of them more or less sharing why. And so you're getting raw and unfiltered responses from men on why they feel the way they do. So, you know, I know you're an Aquarian, you're intellectual, but fall back. We're gonna bring you to the promised land. Now, listen, guys, listen. I'm gonna ask you ladies a question because this is very important. I see Tyler there. Y'all get the likes up, but Ms. Johnson, can catering improve the mental health of a man? And if so, tell the audience why.
Well, I think so because I guess the new thing is be his peace. And when men are going through, especially Black men are going through, and I think I said at the last show I was on, going through all what they go through, constantly getting their manhood challenged by everyone. The Black man has no ally. So when he can come home and that is the one place where he doesn't have to have the fight, I think it's that time of rest for him. That's you can be his oasis, where this is one place where I don't have all of the power struggle or no one's challenging me about my manhood. But I also want to go back to why do Black women tend to cater to the Pookies and the Ray Rays? Because so many of us come from say single parent homes. We had fatherless homes.
Right.
Because of that, we have an abandonment issue that we don't even recognize because it's so normal.
Right.
So we want to be with someone that we have to prove our love to. And you got to prove your love to Ray Ray and them. They're not coming in with flowers and roses. You're going to have to prove it to them. So the nice guy, we don't want. They're boring. I just can't get into him. He's not my type. But the type that we have to fight, and it may not even be a Pookie or Ray Ray. It could be the guy who is the white collar guy that just has a lot of women, but someone that you have to fight for their love. You have to prove it. We'll go for that. And that's an abandonment issue.
Right.
So I think that's one thing that is so common amongst us that we don't realize that so many of us are suffering from that abandonment of not having that father there. So we need to get with someone where we have to prove our love to.
Excellent.
And then we feel like, and if Ray Ray changed, we don't want to be with Ray Ray anymore. We need to be with someone where there's always a fight and there's a challenge. There's some type of struggle.
That's excellent. That's excellent. See, listen, these conversations are essential because if you notice, the panel is diverse with four black men and four black women from different stratas. And so I welcome the constructive criticism as long as we do it in the spirit of peace and civility. But and thank you, Beth. I love your Aquarian fire. But I would ask Dr. O a question. Can catering improve the mental health of a man? And then Blair, you are a recent newlywed. I want you to tell the brothers how catering impacted you and your wife. Go ahead, Dr. O, the 6-shooter from Texas.
You said, I'm sorry, I was a little preoccupied. You said, how can, could you repeat that?
So can catering improve the mental health of a man?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to agree with Joletta. What Joletta said, she said it so eloquently that it does improve his mental health, somewhere, to lay his burdens down after a long day, fighting, different ones in the street, fighting the media, fighting the news, the police officers, it's a lot of things, that black men have to deal with on a daily and regular basis. And my father was no exception. A lot of times, my father would carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, but nobody never knew that. He never would let the family know that, but he would, you could see it in his eyes. So a lot of times, what our brothers do, they tend to hold things in. So, and they won't let those things come out because they don't want people to say, well, he must be this or that. Brothers hold things in. So when they get home, they love to have that, that softness to just breathe. And sometimes they still can't breathe at home, and that's sad because my grandfather and them used to call them Hellcats. It was always a Hellcat, somewhere in the kitchen, wondering how come they 5 or 10 minutes late. So, I mean, that what Joletta said, she said it so well, and I have to agree with her what she said. A peace of mind is everything once he hit that door.
Right. Blair, now, you are a relationship coach, and we're going to talk about two things. And guys, please mute your mics. But we're going to talk about two things. You recently got married. The women that you were dating before you married your wife, did they cater to you, or was there always static in the dynamics of the relationship?
Great question. The quick answer is yes, they always catered to me. I never had, call it luck of the draw, call it what you want. I never had a problem with women catering to me. I mean, that, I could name off and rattle off a number of things that women have done that would blow your mind. But the quick answer is yes, I never had an issue with that. What really stood out from the difference to me with my wife, and even when we were dating, when she was my fiance, was, and this is the huge word, the consistency.
Right.
Because there were a lot of women who did a lot of great things. But there were also women who, oh my God, she just peeked down here and everything. He's like, I heard that. So, there were a lot of women who did certain things, but there were, she was consistent. She was all, just in everything. When I wanted to, get, connect with her, she was, readily available. She always, was always like, did you eat? You want something to eat? You want something to take with you and everything. I mean, it was always a concern. When I came over, I would just lay in her lap and she would just rub my head and everything.
Oh, powerful, man.
Watch TV. All the things that I hear a lot of the guys talk about, like, I wish I could get me a woman to do that. I'm like, that came naturally, right? You know, so yeah, I think really for me it was just about consistency, because a lot of things, and men and women both are guilty of it, but we're talking about women today. But I think one of the problems that men have with women is they'll do something for a while and then just stop and then give a reason. Oh, this is happening or that's happening. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you got me in this level of, cooking for me, or, running a bath water, or whatever catering is to you. You started doing that, and now you dropped the ball. So for a lot of men, what they'll essentially do is go find and be catered elsewhere. So, but yeah, that was the main thing. And she was extremely consistent, and that's what won me over. Yeah.
Blair, I want to ask you this question, and I started the show with the terminology, a schema affliction. And so a schema is a terminology used in psychopathology that, I created the term, coalesced the term, but a schema is a fixated way of thinking. But that affliction is the byproduct of pain. And so a lot of men in America feel like they're not worthy of getting catered to. Therefore, they suffer in silence because they won't speak out. But I bring these shows to the forefront because there's a lot of dysfunction within the contextual framework of America. And so you say you got in trouble for writing this book. I want you to tell us specifically what you meant by that, because, we got a culture, what we call simp culture, where men lie to our women.
Absolutely.
And see, I that's why I got a diverse panel, because I want women to hear what men are thinking. But you have to be willing to have a listening ear and an open mind. Because we get it, the gospel say, dwell with our women in accord to knowledge, because she's a weaker vessel. So we get it, women are emotional. But at the same time, it's good to hear what men are saying so that you can retroact and make better decisions. Yes. So, we're not going to be the false prophets of love language today, but we're going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
What happened in this book, Blair, that set the tone, but also got you needing a 6-shooter to hold you down, a bodyguard.
Yeah.
So what was about this book?
Yeah. So that book was called The Hidden Discussion: Black Money, Sex, and Relationships. Came out in 2018.
Right.
The book was very, I guess, for lack of a better term, scathing. So much so that I had to go back and rewrite parts of the book. It was that brutal. And then and what happened was, one of my best friends kind of pulled me to the side. She's like, "That book was, oh my God, Blair." And I was like, and she said, there are things that we know are going on in our culture, but this may not be necessarily the right time to say it. And I don't know if people are really going to want to hear that. And I did get a lot of kickback from a lot of women, because I talked about women being overweight, black women being overweight. I talked about black women who specifically, go out and meet and date men of other races, and put men of other races above black men. So yeah, I really went there. And like I said, I had to go back, and as I kind of came back down, I was like, yeah, that might have been a little harsh. So, everything that I said, I meant, but I definitely understand that there's a time and a place for that. So yeah, that's all I can say. Like I said, I don't regret it, because it had to be said. And that's that.
Todd Maynard Cutler, I call you your grandness. You're in the circle of fire. You're a Leo, man. So I want you to tell the audience who you are, and you are part of a program called Get Over Betrayal, Love After Betrayal. So I want you to talk to what you've seen in the dynamics with a lot of men that are suffering in silence, and I want you to tell the audience who you are and what you promote as it relates to love after betrayal. But also, Todd, this is a loaded question: should a woman cater to her man? Yes or no?
All right. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you. I love the panel. So I'm Ty Kuttner. I am also a relationship coach, image coach. I help guys move on after betrayal. So currently I'm helping guys who are going through divorce, separations, cheating. They can't get over it. I help them get over it so they get back to their life. Right. When a guy is going through stuff like that, he can't get back to himself. He can't get back to his family. He can't get back to his job. He may be suicidal. It is a big problem in humanity. especially in our country, right? It brings down performance. So relationship issues aren't just about the individuals. It affects everyone that we touch. So it's an important thing. So I think I'm doing great work. Regarding catering to a man, like I was listening from the beginning of the show, and I think it was Joletta that said, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, where she mentioned that when women cater, they're expressing their femininity when they do that.
Right.
That is what
right.
That's what the woman is. That's when she's feeling her best, when she's expressing her value, her truth. Because where else would it come from? Men don't do that. Men don't express that. That's not what men are trying to do. We're not trying to care and cater to in that way. So where would it come from in our society if it's not coming from women? We all miss it. We all suffer from it. We all don't receive it if it's not coming from women. So in our community, in the Black community, where we have, others mentioned that we have these dysfunctions in our families where the father isn't around, for various reasons, mainly because of, racism and all of the inflictions of that, prison systems and, all these things. When you don't have the father around, and a lot of women, they don't grow up with a positive male role model, right? They don't grow up with a loving, caring man in their life, an intimate relationship that's not based on sex. It's not based on them trying to get something out of the woman. So their first time being with a man, a lot of times is in a romantic situation with men who don't understand how to be in romantic situations. So then they paint the picture of how men are. And it's a tragedy because if they can't express their femininity, they don't really get the chance to give deep into themselves. They don't really get a chance to even express that. And that's the reason why going to Brazil, you see something you've never seen before, because it's missing in the culture of America. And it's harmful to us because the catering to that women give to men, it empowers men, it amplifies them, it makes them be greater, it makes them want to strive. We know the same for the women and kids. That's how men are.
Right.
Men want to protect women and kids.
Yes.
We want to protect, because the only way that we can express, every living organism is trying to succeed in one way: reproduce. Right. From the simplest cell to the most complex organism, which is us, right? We're trying to reproduce. The only way men can reproduce is through women. That's the reason why we have this desire to protect women, because we have to protect our offspring, right? So we have this duty, this desire to protect women, whether they're a little girl, whether it's the father, uncle protecting a little woman, because he knows that at one point, women were a commodity. We have to understand that we've been humans for 300,000 years. This new stuff that we have in society, it's like 20, 30 years old. We've been humans for 300,000 years. Our way of thinking, our nature has been designated in a certain way, and it's all based on how we relate to each other. And when we start to understand those basic understandings, we start having better relationships, which helps our communities, our society as a whole. So yes, I believe that women should want to find a way, try to figure out how to cater to a man, right? Because when that is happening properly and you cater to a proper man, that is a great relationship, because that man is going to be empowered by that. And if he's a man who's out there succeeding, right? And I guess this may be another topic for another show. One thing is that a lot of women don't really understand how to even identify a good man, right? But once you're able to identify a good man, a man to cater to, then that man becomes empowered, and your problems are solved, because he's going to do everything he can to try to solve whatever problems, because he wants to keep that in his life, because especially in America, because it's very rare.
Excellent. And I love that, the broadness of the questions, and so you guys are very intellectual, and I know you guys can talk, so we're gonna condense the responses, but I love it. But Gene, you said something that struck the ire of some people, and you talked about the differences in catering to a man as it relates. It's almost like it's selective catering. But before you talk about that, you're right, Ty. There is a femininity deficiency in America. Just like there's a vitamin deficiency, there's a femininity deficiency in America. And just like Pepe Le Pew, when he was around that skunk, I think I forgot the name of the show, but when Pepe Le Pew was around that skunk, Pepe Le Pew, when he was around that cat was feminine, and because of that femininity, Pepe Le Pew couldn't keep his hands off of it, even though I forgot Pepe Le Pew got canceled, but he's gonna keep his hands off the cat. But what I'm talking about. Men are wired to feminine women, and so You know, Gene, you made a controversial point, and and I bring these diverse audiences on. I did it intentionally. But why did you say what you said, real quick? And then we're gonna go back to the question: what were your experiences when you were catered to as a man? So go ahead, Gene. Unmute yourself.
I said what I said because you know this. When I first came across these black feminists who have all this hatred towards black men, and the things that they would say, what I found interesting was that no one ever addresses them. Like in the black community, we like pretend like they're not there. So I started to go into their spaces and see what they talked about and see what they did. And some of these women have hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. I mean, it's not a little thing. It's not like a couple of women over in a corner who feel this way. And they're, it's a cottage industry to sell black women on the idea of being feminine and catering to white and non-black men. At the same time that they're talking about with black men is toxic masculinity and we don't want to cater. I mean, polar opposites. It's like they're white supremacists in blackface. I spent like easily 3 years in those spaces. I got receipts for days. There are countless thousands of women who believe this, who think this way about black men. And it's weird to me because black men have no clue. They have no clue. Like, and these women, they're not hiding. They're out in the open. They're on Twitter. They're on YouTube. They're on Facebook. They're not hiding. But probably 9 out of every 10 black guys I mention this to look at me like I'm saying something from Mars. They're completely clueless as to what is going on behind their backs. It blows my mind. But like I said, I've been in those spaces and I got the receipts. I know what I'm talking about. This is not a matter of opinion or what I think or what I feel. It's what I know.
And so we bring these topics to the forefront because, this is a virtual barbershop where men are telling their stories and the things that they struggle with. And I know sometimes the responses are not always what our women want to hear, but it's necessary if we're going to have healing relationships. Someone asked Snuggle 668, she asked, he or she, I think it's a woman, asked the question, can someone answer what femininity looks like to a man? So I'll say myself. I would say femininity to me, okay, Blair, I would say femininity to me is a woman that's cooperative, a woman that seeks to understand the intuition of a man, a woman that's been more or less, socialized to honor and respect her man, and a woman that is aware of herself, and a woman that's willing to introspect and to help her man become the best version of herself. That's what femininity looks like to me as a man. So I'm gonna let one of the ladies answer the question. What does femininity look like to you guys?
I was wanting to kind of add on. I saw her question when it came up. I just want to emphasize that it does not look like these fly-by-night ladies that are out here teaching femininity. You can't teach femininity. Someone can hide it and pretend to be feminine for 90 days and then 180 days. Marlon, you know this. We learned this in school. A person is going to show their true nature in about 90 days. 180 days, I call it full-blown person. It's inevitable for you not to see the real person at that point. So you have these relationship feminine coaches out here that are fake feminine, teaching these women these things, and half the time they're not married. These women haven't been dating in 4 or 5 years. They have fake engagements. They're never married. So I mean, this is bad information. You have got to learn to be feminine from your grandmothers. Mm-hmm. I love pearls. It's not a day anyone don't. If you see me in the grocery store, I probably have pearls on. It's things that I picked up from my grandmothers and my aunts and my mothers, that you're supposed to do. This fake feminine stuff where they're running around here teaching femininity without wearing dresses. Well, in my house, when I grew up, every day of the week, just about, you're going to catch me in a dress, so we have women out here that are teaching something that they don't even know.
Right.
So you have to be aware of the snake oil salesmen too that are out here telling women, hey, smile like this, or do this, or fling your hair like this, and that right there is a facade. So, I mean, I really feel bad for you brothers, but it's a lot of charlatans out here that are selling these women dreams, dressing them up like dolls to get men. But then once they get you, it's like buying a haunted house. You don't know what it is until 90 days later, and boom, you have a monster.
I want to share an experience that
Gene, hold tight. I'm gonna let you come in. Hold tight. 1 minute, Gene. 1 minute. Snuggles668 asked the question. I don't know if that's a girl or a man, but if you cannot teach femininity, are you saying women cannot be born without it? So here's the deal. There's a such thing that I call synthetic femininity, and then there's a such thing as cultured femininity. Synthetic femininity is what Dr. O is talking about. It's not real. It's fake. It's masquerading what women should be. But cultural femininity is similar to the edicts of the gospel, where it says, let the older women teach the younger women how to be women. There was a time when the older women taught the younger women how to be women. So what the older women would do, they would harness that femininity, and they would make that femininity even more powerful. So it's almost like iron sharpens iron with men, as men would mentor other men, do rites of passage to make them stronger. Well, what cultural femininity is this: the elders are teaching the younger women how to become better women within the context of change. So go ahead, Gene. Then I want Beth. Beth's been quiet for a minute. Beth had to get a glass of wine. I need to get a glass of wine with Beth. But go ahead, Gene, and then Beth, I want you to come in.
Say really quick, to Dr. O's point, I'm not gonna say her name, but one of these big femininity influencers hit me up because I'm a personal trainer, and she knew that, and so she wanted me to add the fitness and diet aspect to her platform. And so once me and her started talking, it was like talking to a dude, like, yo, we gonna get this money, right? We gonna get this money, like super. First of all, she wasn't like, I didn't see any caring about anybody, and all she was interested in was getting paid. Like, it was like talking to a dude, like, yo, we gonna get this money. And I was like, man, I'm talking to a guy. And I just cut her off. I didn't give her any explanation. I just kept it moving, and that's that. But so she was fake feminine, exactly like Dr. Rose said.
Excellent. Beth, you've been quiet. Give me a glass, some of that Chardonnay, some of that Merlot from California. Right there. I'm going to pour you a glass. Pour me a glass of wine. All right? Don't blow up. Don't blow up, Miss Beth. So Beth, you've been listening.
Y'all had this phone so hot. I was on my phone. I was like, ooh, it's hot. I need
it's
a
hot.
better device.
Right, but you know what?
I'm back. Look, first of all, I appreciate everybody's perspective.
Yes.
I'm gonna mess with you because if I see a hole, I'm coming in. Coming in, and
that's okay. That's okay.
Because it's what I do. I'm a wordsmith. I can't help it. The comedy is here to stay. But
right.
I will say that I agree with many things. Dr. O is hilarious talking about synthetic feminine. She's not kidding though. There is a lot. It's a lot that we have to combat. And there's a lot of things that men have to deal with. But I think, again, as I keep saying before, when you're dealing with someone that has some predisposed trauma.
That's true.
You're not just dating them, you're dating their trauma. You're not marrying them, you're marrying their trauma.
I agree.
So if they haven't gone to work on their trauma, whether it's a male or female, Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, Dominican, Brazilian, it's something from that situation is going to come up and going to come out. So I just feel like we in general need to work on dealing with our personal childhood traumas, our personal issues, so that when for the single people, the married people, y'all great. Y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. Dr. O got that ring on her hand the size of Gibraltar. Okay, she's good. The brother Blair has left the building because his wife said, "Not now, but right now." Life is good. What we need to do is we need to work on our childhood traumas, on our emotional issues, so that we don't carry whatever that is we picked up from past relationships,
Right.
from whatever abusive situations, whether we inflicted or it was inflicted upon us, to the next person. I think it's like we go somewhere with bags and expect someone to pick them up that they didn't have nothing to do with them bags. Why I got to pick up? I ain't pick up. Why I got to pay? It's like expecting a man to pay for all your drama. He didn't put you in that situation. Now, if he wants to do that, it's on him. But when you go into a relationship looking for a sponsorship, a pimp, to cover your stuff, because that's what it is, then now you're putting yourself in a disadvantage because you are now positioning yourself to be played. When in fact, if you did your work, go clean your credit, go do what you got to do to make yourself to the point that you are strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet, that you are mentally, spiritually, and physically stable enough to not have to look to someone to validate you, because you know that God said you were amazing when he made you, and that you're solid and you own your stuff. That, I think, for both men and women, that's our thing. That's what we need to work on. I think if we stop saying, well, they don't like us, and they just, oh, that's annoying. I needed to get my hard kombucha for my probiotics because we got to keep it together. So it's much better than regular alcohol. So I just think that we as individuals need to fix our stuff. If you were a child and your mother told you to clean your room before you went out to play, I don't care what your cousin was doing, your sister, your brother was doing. If you didn't clean your room to get up what they said, that was your behind. Well, it's the same thing. We got to clean up our rooms, our wombs, our emotional wounds, our ladies, our emotional womb. You know, you have all these different relationships. You got to clean that sucker out because them soul ties are real. And that's men and women, because you ain't just sleeping with them. You're sleeping with everybody and all their issues. And so I think it's deeper than race. I think it's us fixing ourselves and being okay with being by date yourself. Get to know you and fix you so that way when you meet whoever that is that God has for you, you're ready. You ain't ready going from person to person and hopping from pillar to post. All you're doing is diverting yourself, fooling yourself. I don't care if dude's spending you much bank on you. Eventually, something he does is going to get on your damn nerves. Why? Because it's not about the money. You can't pay for happiness. You can't pay for peace. You can't sleep around with a whole bunch of women for the moment. Okay, it's fabulous. They're fun. They're exotic, whatever. For the moment. It's a momentary thing. So I think the main thing is fix that whatever that is in you lacking and stop looking for a sister to validate you. You validate you. You cater to you. And the woman that is supposed to be in your life is going to fall in place because she's doing the work.
Right.
That is all I have to say about that. And I'm going to have another sip of my beverage. God bless you all.
So let me ask you guys a question, to the guys that are listening. Was there a time, listen guys, have there ever been a time when you were catered to by a woman? And if you were catered to, what did it feel like? Was there a time when you guys were catered to by a woman? And if you were catered to a woman, what did it feel like to you, Gene? What did it feel like when you were catered to by a woman?
My situation is kind of similar to Blair's. Most of the relationships I've been in, I have been catered to. I haven't had maybe my last one I wasn't catered to. That's probably the only one. You know, it just, first of all, it's inspiring. Like when you go out there and you have to deal with what you deal with every day, and especially someone like me, I'm a pretty aggressive guy, as you well know. I say what I say, and I'm like that everywhere I go. Mm-hmm. I worked for 24 years in the pharmaceutical industry on right-wing Long Island, dealing with, hard right Republicans and all of this. And so when you come home, whether it's your girlfriend or your wife, and this person is putting energy back into you, it's like nothing you can't do and nothing you can't, handle. It just recharges you. Conversely, when a woman doesn't pour back into you, and there's nothing you don't want to do for them to make them happy. because this person is like giving you something. I mean, as a black man, everybody practically is your adversary except that person who's pouring into you and your family. So you have so few allies. This person is doing something for you that you just can't get just anywhere. You can't just go out there and replace her and what she's bringing to the table.
Right.
You know, so it's really powerful, man. And the greatest things I've ever done and the most success I've ever had were in relationships where I was catered to.
Excellent. You know, I do these shows because there is a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of deflection. And you see a lot of deflection from a lot of people in Western cultures. You know, I bring on lovely women like Jaletta Johnson, Alexandra, Dr. O. McCoy, and even Sister Beth Payne, because I want the women to hear what men are saying, and she up there laughing. I'm gonna come fly to California and get some of that good stuff. Even Sister Beth, I'm gonna come fly to California and get some of that good stuff. I'm gonna sing that song by Sam Cooke. Bring your sweet love.
I knew you were gonna say something, Beth. I knew you were gonna say something, Beth.
You know I was. You know you made it back nowhere. You knew. Girl, you knew.
I'm looking dead at you.
I guess he was just waiting for me to. I'll try to act like I had some sense. I said, Beth, just be quiet. I was like, just go on over to the left and just follow off the stairs.
Beth, go all the way down.
Go all the way.
She's funny, but
I had my phone upset. My phone cut off. My phone was like, I can't. It's too hot in here. Way too much. So I had to get on the laptop. Y'all wearing me out. This conversation's wearing me out. But it's so lovely that we could all come together and have this lovely conversation. Blair left because he over there with his wife.
Right.
Enough.
But you know, no, Blair heard that song by Cisco says getting hot in here. We're gonna take our clothes off because it was getting hot up in this piece. But real quick, Jaletta, you know, you've been married for
It's Jolita. Jolita,
okay. You've been married for a certain amount of years. So when you have conversations with your husband, what does your husband tell you about the power of femininity and what it does to his psyche as a man? Because see, what you're giving your husband is something different than a lot of men experience. And, you know, that's why men are traveling abroad, because they're looking for that vibrancy of femininity that you're getting from your husband. But let's bring it back to point. What does Mr. Johnson say he gets from his lovely wife, Jalita, that a lot of men in America are not getting?
Well, I'll tell you, he had his family over. His brother was in town, so he had his family over. He invited everybody over. And afterwards, he said, you know why I like everybody coming to our house? I'm like, why? You want to show off, the house? And he's like, no. He says, because you are such a good host. He says, when everybody leaves, they always talk about how you treated everyone and how you had the table set and how you had the buffet set and just how all the dishes are just so pretty and everything is so pretty. He says, I just like when people come over and how you just present everything. He says, it's just so ladylike with you. He said, you just do things like that. So it's like something that's small that I just naturally do because my mother did that. My paternal grandmother was that way. My other grandmother was from down south. You got some pots and pans and you just make it happen. But it was just, that's something that's small that you don't think about that just came naturally because of seeing. I think someone at Dr. McCoy had said something about our grandmothers, seeing our grandmothers do these things and then seeing my mother do it. So for me, it's just, that's what you do. And he said, and then that night, he brought it up again late that night. He's like, everybody just talks about how great of a host you are. I just like, because we always have people here and he's always inviting everybody over here, which means I'm going to be doing all the work, but he always wants everybody to come here. But he says, it's like, I just like how you present everything in our home. So it's just, he can feel good about the home he built, the house he built, and then his wife who made it a home.
Yes.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
that is something, and I think someone has said something about they were out gardening. I'm like, I know I'm looking kind of rough because I've been out. My husband's not the most organized person. Right. So that garage looked like how he has that garage looking. So it's like when he comes home tonight, he's going to be so surprised because I went out there and I organized all of his stuff. So he comes home, he's going to have organize all of his tools. Everything's organized when he comes home tonight. So it's just those little things of, he works, he has his own business, and then he works, for a company. So it's like when he comes home, those things that you just throw down in the garage, I've set up a system for you now. Now, will it stay? I don't know. Probably won't. But it's something that I know he'll appreciate, that I've made something easier for him.
That's powerful. That is, that was brilliant. Luther said, a house without a home. But before I ain't gonna keep singing, because I'm gonna take the love off it, and y'all gonna lose the victim. But go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, sis.
I want to add to. We've been talking about, men, how to recognize. We've got to talk about also, the signs to recognize for the ones who definitely will not be catering to you. And sometimes they're disguised. Yes, mm-hmm. And sometimes they're disguised, and I can give y'all about 4 traits, that you guys need to look out for. And for some reason they just go hand in hand. But when you see the ill-shaped wigs that kind of have the little point, sitting in the top, y'all want to stay away from them.
Land of the lost.
Yes, the land of the lost. The pointy Freddy Krueger fingernails. I don't know. Some of you guys may not know who Freddy Krueger is, but those fingernails, the beat face. People always say I have on makeup. I don't wear makeup. So the beat face, you want to stay away from these kind. If they can roll marijuana, you guys want to stay away from them kind. If they smoking Black and Miles, buying Newports, we can go on. These are the type of individuals that you want to steer clear of. I almost want to get a danger sign, because these are going to be combatants, and you cannot turn these type of individuals into people that are going to cater to you. What these individuals are going to do is they're going to fight, because in their world, fighting is their love language. Mm-hmm. So again, we have the box Chevys, the Newports, the Black and Miles, the wigs, the weaves, the multicolored hair, the long nails, fat, out of shape, sloppy. Those are clear
when the hair looks like
danger.
The color of a Skittles or Kool-Aid?
Exactly. Yes.
The hair is the symbol of the rainbow.
Yes. Danger.
And the toes. And then they do a lot of this. If they talk,
right.
Look, if they bobbing and weaving, if they do this, look, it ain't no look like they need a string
danger.
On it. The danger. If they look like they're gonna give you whiplash and they, what is in the, what's in?
That's what so those are they're not even repairable. You guys run. You're going to have problems with baby mamas, poor grandma, wanting to go to the club. They're going to want you to buy them some big rims to sit up on top. And next thing you know, your house going to be vibrating with money bag. Y'all stay away from them animals. That's the way they growl.
Oh my goodness, Dr. O is funny.
And the crazy thing about the schema affliction that we talked about is led to a condition called simping. Now, I came up with 2 types of simps. There's a conscious simp and an unconscious simp. A conscious simp, what he does, he sacrifices important masculine principles, but the unconscious simp supplements irrational male patterns. And so we have a lot of men in this country that are going through a schema affliction because they have not been socialized how to deal with women on a level where it's going to broker or give them the outcome to their needs. And so because of that, what you see now is that men that accept bad behavior, like not being catered to, but they still provide, they still protect, they still pay bills because they're in a self-serving position where they have such low self-esteem. And so I do these shows because I'm passionate about empowering Black men. When I went to Brazil, I took anecdotal notes. I'm going to be in a movie called Frustrated 3. I got some swag like you Beth, so don't hate. I got some swag like Beth. But I'm going to be in a movie called a documentary called Frustrated 3. And Frustrated 3 actually gives the anecdotal evidence to why men are defecting from America because they feel like they're not getting their needs met. And see, listen, when we bring women into these circles, we take a risk a lot of times because we like for women mostly to hear. When Blair Nash created the Safe House, The safe house was about women listening and hearing what men are saying, so they can understand how men think, not necessarily to change the trajectory of what men are saying, but it was like they were brought in to listen, so they can learn and understand the dynamics of men. And so what's going on now, is that a lot of men are defecting from modern relationships, because when you have movements like people that try to cancel, how can you cancel Destiny's Child and Beyonce Catered to You, a song that was written years ago? Years ago. And you want to cancel those people because only thing they're saying is that, look, you need to treat your man good, because, it's powerful when men and women dwell together in unity.
I don't think they care about folks canceling them checks. They ain't thinking about what they talking about canceling them. I don't think they care. I just feel like they don't care. They don't care. I'm laughing at what would you put, Tabitha? I was looking at Snuggles. I'm looking at the comments, and somebody said something about Tabitha Brown and Tina Knowles, and which would you consider to be feminine? I think they're both feminine. I don't think one is less feminine than the other. I just think they're two different women with two different backgrounds who love their families, that are willing to go hard for theirs. And I think that that's the problem. We try to put people in a box that makes us comfortable, but in the same instance, there are certain elements that, unfortunately, young ladies, that this generation you all have been raised by BET videos from that whole 90s bit, and I'm sorry, because that was my era when I was in college the first time. I'm back again trying to fix stuff. But that whole era where you all were watching all them rap videos and women that were being so objectified based on, unfortunately, the Klansmen who operate the private prison system, who want you to feel like you are calling you out of your name, you being less than feminine, that you being hard, and it makes you more stronger if you use male tendencies opposed to just honoring and catering literally to those things in you that are innate for you to do. And unfortunately, if you haven't had a grandmother, an aunt, a godmother, an aunt, just somebody to mentor you into that, it was like in the Bible, they talk about Ruth and Naomi. She was mentored by her mother-in-law to marry somebody else. Because after her husband was killed, or died, then her mother-in-law from that point groomed her to be married to another man who saw her glean. She said, baby, go out there and put your face on. But while you working, she didn't tell her to go out there and go collect a check and do nothing. She told her to build. I need you to glean in that field. I want you to look your best. I want you to carry yourself, right? I want you to carry yourself in a way that a man, I'm reading what you're saying, Snuggles, because I believe that you want the quality of man. I believe that you want, Snuggles. The type of man that you want is not going to be interested in the type of woman that does all the extracurricular things that Dr. O was mentioning. If you listen, and listen, Snuggles, I'm 49, I'll be 50 this year. I'm not married. I've been asked many times, but I'm ready to get married because it was not the right person, because I only want to get divorced, never. So I could feel the divorce during the planning. Not that this is not going to happen. Sometimes it takes that point where people start really showing you themselves. A lot of times people show you one thing, but they're a whole nother person when it starts to get real. And so, because I'm allowing myself to take time to heal from all of the lies I've been told, or things that society has told me, and the conditioning that unfortunately our culture has taught us, I don't want to be with somebody.
Yeah, I think Beth
carrying all that negative stuff, because I know the negative connotations that are with those things.
Right.
So
hold tight, Doc. Give me 1 minute. Listen, I know what Doc is saying, and it maybe sounds like a contradiction to Snuggle 668, but I think what Doc is saying, my uncle passed away today. He was buried. He was cremated at the memorial today. And so when I go back and look at the pictures of the femininity of feminine women in the past, Can a woman be feminine with some of the accoutrements that Doc is talking about, the long nails and the land of the lost cone on the head? You know, I don't know. I think you would have to ask men what they look for in femininity. But when I look at Jalita in my mind, and it can be subjective, personifies a very feminine, demure woman. You do as well, Beth, and Dr. O, and also Alexandra. But we have been conditioned not to see women like relics of the past, where they conducted themselves as ladies. You know, my uncle, my uncle looked like the guy from the Rubber Band, man, back in the 90s. What's the guy name with the beard? If I'm see if I can bring it up. But when you look at, say it again.
You're talking about the group The Spinners sang that
The
song
Spinners.
with the band.
Right. So when you look at the picture of my uncle and his wife, I don't know if you guys can see that, but she was the personification of a feminine woman. That was my Aunt Norma. Aunt Jean. I mean, not Aunt Norma, but that was my uncle's wife. So look how they look great together. That was back in the 70s. Look how well dressed he is.
But that was before.
And you know, if I can just tell, if I can tail spin off of, I think her name was Snuggles. What I mean by that, I know I may say it in a place of jest, but what I mean nowadays, young ladies are, as Beth said also, young ladies are nowadays mimicking, excuse my French, whores from the 70s. I think sometimes the women in the 70s that were portrayed as prostitutes have a little bit more class and dignity what the young ladies carry today. Men are slowly becoming desensitized to even looking at a woman to be physically attractive, because we're showing everything. Even the prostitutes in the 70s, if you go back and look at like Dolomite, the Mac, they were covered up. You know, they didn't let their product all hang out. And the way my father explained it, you can always tell a woman that is single because she's going to be half nude. No man in his right mind is going to let his lady carry herself like that. The traits that I'm talking about with the long nails and the big wigs and all that stuff, those things that we do nowadays for beauty were used to attract tricks, you know, in the 70s. We need all that. You know, to see a woman walk around with her hair like mine was normal in the 70s, whereas nowadays women are covering up. And what I hate about us as Black women, we're not telling these young ladies that you're going to go bald. This is why you're losing your edges. In the 90s, we used to wear, you know, these salt and pepper hairstyles, and a lot of us lost our hair. You know, we're not telling these young ladies the truth. We're not showing them the examples of being a wife. We're not showing them the examples of being ourselves and still being beautiful in a classy way. And a lot of times, you know, that's why I get on these young men that I talk to. Do not give these type of women that type of attention. These type of women, excuse me for saying this, but they're just used for one thing. And that's the same thing that the women were used for in the 70s. You don't break your home up for trash. You just don't do it. And young ladies are seeing this and thinking they're winning when they're not. You know, so we have to be more vocal about showing class. I think Joletta and Beth are extremely beautiful in a classy, natural way. You don't need all those filters and things. You know, some men don't even know what these women look like. In Texas, it was a man woke up. He didn't even know who this woman was. She had on so much makeup and hair. So men think I say it in jest, but I'm very serious. Y'all need to see what these women look like without this makeup on, without this hair on, without these Spanx and waist trainers and all this stuff. And if they can't show it to y'all, throw them away. Y'all don't need them, because if they're hiding something as basic as what they look like, y'all don't need to be with them. If they're not comfortable within their own self, they don't like themselves. They telling y'all that they don't like themselves. They can't wear their own hair. They got to have the beat, little bitty noses. They got to have colored contacts. They got to have fake Spanx on. They too lazy to get off their behind and go work out. They want you to accept them in their worst way. And they don't even accept themselves in their worst way. What person in their right mind want to walk around with some trash or somebody who look like garbage? I don't. If I'm trying to be my best self, you can believe I want somebody else that's going to be the best version of them too. And that's where you brothers going to have to come in and start setting the standards. If I'm working out, if I'm showing you my natural face and my hair and my waist, I want to see it from you.
Right. I love that, Doc. Because every day is training day.
Ain't nobody trying to be with no man that look like he about 6 months, 8 months pregnant with that belly.
Okay.
Right,
looking
right.
like a chubby.
Right,
That's
listen,
right.
because every day is training day, and we got BMO in the
Every
house.
day is training day. Y'all know that's my motto.
We got Brother Eric Spencer in the house, one of the facilitators of BMO called Black Male Options. And so,
Black men's option. Get it right. Get it right.
Black. I call him Deacon Eric Spencer because Deacon Eric Spencer said that many women in America don't believe that the fat
Don't
meat
believe
is
the
greasy.
fat meat is
The fat
greasy.
meat
Ain't
is
that
greasy.
him? That's
Damn
him.
right.
That's him. That's the man.
So they don't believe that the fat meat is greasy. And so the fat meat is greasy is more or less a symbolism or euphemism for the toxicity that we see in America, but also the unwillingness due to cognitive dissonance that a lot of our women have. Now, listen, guys, I need you guys to get the likes up. This is a fire show. We got beautiful Beth Payne, we got beautiful Jaletta, beautiful Alexandra, and we got the 6-shooter from Texas, Dr. O. Jean. We're gonna have to get security for her because she always spit that hot fire. But as we're dropping some fire for your mind, listen, donate to the show. This is a hot show. You got some awesome people on this show. Donate $7 Smalls. I'm real dedicated in what I'm doing. I want to see young men empowered. I want to see our women happy. But we got to have these critical discussions that are unfiltered. Because see, a lot of times men lie to women because they just want to get between your legs. They're not being honest with you. So these shows are designated to tell women what men are thinking. It's not all soul food. Sometimes food for the soul don't always feel good. So Eric, a BMO, Black Male Options. Tell the people who you are. I call you Deacon Eric Spencer because we're from North Carolina, 704-252. But some of my sisters don't believe that the fat meat is greasy. I want you to break it down for the audience, man.
Okay, first off, my name is Eric Spencer. I am a representative of the Black Men's Option. I'm currently here in Atlanta, scoping the scenery, and it ain't looking too good. The fat meat is greasy. You know, like I said, that's a you know,
we're gonna have to get a shirt called the fat meat is greasy. But go ahead, brother.
That's just an old saying that, you know, people don't believe things until something happens. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot of our women don't believe that their men are going to walk away from them.
Right.
They think they're going to be able to continue to mistreat and demean and emasculate these men, and they're always going to be there. Mm-hmm. And what they're finding out is that's no longer the case. Mm-hmm. Dudes are walking away in droves. Like I said, I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm doing a meetup with the Black Men's Option and Black Men's Travel. And all these dudes are talking about traveling, leaving the country.
Right.
Not dealing with American women. See, like I said last time, it's not going to be televised. Brothers gonna move in silence. We don't need Essence. Right. We don't need Ebony. We don't need Jet. We just link up, exchange ideas, help each other out, and then we out. Mm-hmm. So it's great to have the conversation, but a lot of times the women still don't believe it, even though you try to have it. And it's a small segment that are getting it, but the vast majority of them just don't believe it.
They don't believe it.
Right. And instead of them being open and coming to the table, they're doubling down. So, okay, you don't believe fat meat is greasy? I tell you what, you wait another 5 or 10 years, and now you looking for a man, and that man ain't no place to be found. Because what you've done is you've alienated your men, and now the men are conditioned not to feel for you. You out there, and you chose a toxic dude, and you getting your ass whooped. Hey, that's the ass whooping you're gonna take, because I'm not gonna even be involved in that, because I'm not gonna jeopardize my life. If you're in a situation where you need some place to live or you got a flat tire or something, I'm not even gonna put myself in that situation, because the potential of something is gonna happen. Brothers are protecting themselves and they're just gonna walk away. Right. And you're starting to see more and more and more of it, because quite frankly, brothers are just tired.
Right.
You know, you hear the complaining. Oh, you rather complaining and bashing and stuff. I'm like, look, we done heard 50 years of that.
Right.
Bruh, Mari, Ricky Lake, Mister, all these other songs and media and stuff. We done heard it for 50 years. You only been getting that work for basically 15 minutes and you upset.
And you know what, Eric, I want to highlight what you're saying because, that's why I try. I'm thanking ladies for the mature ladies that are listening. But see, that's what happens when women get in their feelings, not to the immature ones. They do one or two things. They deflect or they unsubscribe. So let me share some of the people that are listening. If you don't like the message that I'm saying, I'm not changing my message. I'm not going to tap dance for nobody. I already have a band of women that are willing to listen and learn than a bunch of sensitive people that get in their feelings and unsubscribe when things are not going well. This show is for men by men, and it's designed for women to hear what men are talking about from a clinical perspective, but also from an anecdotal perspective. And so these brothers are still talking because they do love you. But we have a lot of time we have a generation that's so sensitive. Anything that does not go according to that schema of affliction that they are having, they get in their feelings or they want to cancel you. So Eric, keep talking because there is a crisis going on in America. And but before you answer that question, I want you to tell the audience, Eric, have you ever been catered to? And if you were, what did it feel like when you were catered to?
Yeah, I've been catered to in Brazil. And I'll be honest with you, it was very alien because I didn't know what it was. I literally didn't know what it was.
Right.
Like, okay, she must be trying to get something out of me, or she trying to do something. Mm-hmm. No, nothing at all. And it really messed me up because you don't get that here. You get attitude. You fix your own plate. I don't want to hear nothing about your day. You're supposed to be sensitive to my needs and hear about my day.
Right.
Okay. You're supposed to be doing this and doing all this other stuff because you're not something to be catered to. You're supposed to be catering to me. And when you go someplace else and you get that type of treatment and you've never gotten it before, man, it's intoxicating and it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, right?
It's like you getting your first hit of crack. You hit that rock and you're like, all of a sudden, God, woo!
Right.
And now you constantly fiending for that hit.
No, you're right, man.
Hey, look. When I say it's a hit, if you never experienced it and you get that hit, you're gonna be looking for flights. When can I get on this next flight to get this another hit? I just got back from Rio. I'm already booking a flight for November.
Right.
And you know what? If I could add to what Brother BMO is saying, because like I said, I've liked the brother ever since I heard him say the fat meat is greasy, because it reminded me of, again, my grandfather, my grandmother. I'm from the South. So, I want to add to, what he's saying. I think that the reason so many of us as women are like that, because if you ask the average woman what she think about Mr. in the color purple, she's going to say that he was an abusive man. But me growing up with my grandfather around, Mr. was a lot like my grandfather. And I can't say that man was abusive. He was a very strong man, and he did what he was supposed to do during those times. He took care of Celie. He needed a wife to run his household, and that is what she did. He provided for her. When he would go out, he went way into the woods to the juke joint, to meet folks like Suge Avery. Like his father even said, Suge Avery never be no wife. They didn't look at these type of women as wives. Those were women that was kept in the backwoods. So Mr. is the type of man that a lot of women are not accustomed to, and they've never been around a Mr. before. So they're going to think these kind of men are mean.
Right.
He wasn't a mean man, and I try to break that down all the time. He was a man's man. If y'all remember in the movie Color Purple, he was out in the field. He was plowing the land. He ran the household. He kept everything that he was supposed to do. He was a husband. He knew everything that was going and coming inside that house. That was Mr. But we have lost misters now to these kind right here. So we don't know what a man look like and a man's expectations, because it's been watered down, and the average man is so watered down. He's not like Brother BMO. He's not like, Brother Seven. He's not like Gene. He's not like, I think, Eric. So if men are not being a mister nowadays, instructing, they don't know what that look like. They don't know what it is for a man to tell them, you need to get your fat, and go run. You need to get in that kid, you can go do this. You need to do this and that. Because nowadays the households have no leadership. They have no more misters. Right. So these conversations right here are very necessary, because what Brother BMO is saying, I don't view as mean. I'm looking at it as we have dropped the ball. this is a hard pill that we need to listen to.
Right.
That's what it is.
Now, Ty, let me ask you a question. It's a fat meat greaser in America, and what are you seeing in dating trends that's going to change the trajectory for the better or the worse? I want you to bring it to talk to the audience. And Snuggle 668, if you want to come on, sister, come on. You know, I'm brother or sister. I don't know if it's a brother or sister, but if you want to come on the conversation, you're more than welcome to come. But you know, you're seeing a lot of comments. But I will say this: thank you for listening. But these shows are poignant. I know a lot of folks don't like the fact that I'm blending in clinical concepts with urban trends, but I'm not going to change my message to assuage anybody. If you don't like it, you don't like the channel. If you don't like the channel, I get it. This channel might not be for you. And that's what happens, Dr. O, a lot of times in these kinds of discussions. People don't like what you say, they get into feelings, they unsubscribe instead of learning and listening.
Right.
And that's the problem with our generation there. Anytime somebody gets in their feelings, they either be passive aggressive or they unsubscribe. But guess what? You're not hurting me because, like I said, the ones that are listening, they believe that the fat meat is greasy. But go ahead, Ty. I want you to break it down. Break it down and so we can have a conversation, huh?
Yes. So one of the important things that Brother Eric mentioned about, you know, going overseas is, and, you know, the competitiveness that you have with women. When you're going through that, how can you succeed? Like, how can you be a man who's achieving if you got to come home and fight? If you got to come home and have another battle, especially as a black man in America, trying to achieve all the black men on this stage right now are successful because they are free and they got resources and they got the time to be doing this, right? And they're intelligent. They made it through all the hurdles and all the traps that have been put in front of us in this country. So we're going to make it through all that and then come home and get beat up by the woman who's supposed to love us, because that's where love comes from. It comes from women. They're the ones who take care of the kids. They're the ones who hugging and snuggling with the kids. They support. That's the nature of women. So we're not getting that from them, and we're not. So how are we going to go out and succeed in the world? So if a man is not getting that, he has to do what he has to do, because what men are to do, we are to take action. That's why we have hard bodies and muscles. We take action. That's how we survive, right? So if a man is not having what he wants in his life, he's gonna take action and get what he wants in his life. If he's a man, if he's taking the abuse, if he's taking the shame and the belittling, the disrespect, how can he go out in the world and then stand up for himself? That's gonna repeat out in that world. He's not gonna be able to speak up for that raise. He's not gonna speak up in the board meeting. He's not gonna speak up for the big client. He's not gonna be able to, because he's used to getting beat down. Where does he go? Come home to get recharged? That's why it's extremely important. The way women are to men is very important. And the way and the women that we have, the women that we're connected to, black women, those are who our women are, our sisters, our nieces, our aunts, and all those stuff. Those are the ones that when they talk about men, we think they're talking about us, right? When Jean was mentioning how our women are going out here running their mouths, here's what I do. Those women don't get any of my attention, because if they take any of my attention, I don't have time to focus on succeeding. I only deal with women who are going to help me succeed. I'm only going to deal with women who are I'm going to laugh with, I can be happy with, I can enjoy. There is absolutely no drama do I tolerate in a relationship. None, no arguing, not once. It's like, stop. We can't do that, because I'm not fighting, especially with a woman. That's not a fight you can win. Why even get into that? Why even spend your time trying to do that? So that's why I coach men. It starts with the men, because when the men, like Dr. O was saying with the nails and everything else, if men were doing their thing and they were like, we ain't tolerating those women, guess what happened with those women? They're left alone. They're left to the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Man-Mans, right? They're left to those dudes who may have, they may be out there scamming or whatever. They got their money from that, but they're not going to get no one quality, right? So it's always going to follow the men.
So then why
because women innately.
Sorry.
Someone saying something?
I was going to ask you a question, and I appreciate everything that you're saying. I believe that you should stop dating people like that. They show you. I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know why. It's like if the same thing with a woman. If you're with a man who's not edifying you, that doesn't make you feel safe, that's not making you feel loved, or is not fulfilling your desires. The same thing with women. I mean, with men. Then leave them alone. I just feel like it's like, why be bothered? Just go on and do what you got to do. It's like trying to push someone. If you just do this, if you just do that, and if you just it ain't in you to do this. you don't want to do this and that. You want another type of person. And I'm not going to allow you to abuse me, because that's abusive to have to work all day and to come home to get verbally abused. And that's just not African American women. White women are doing that. I have a friend right now who, unfortunately, his wife is nuts, and he's Latin, she's not, and she grew up with a single independent mother, and she's not Black, and she ain't Latin. Okay, so it was a Karen. Karen got some issues, and Karen needs to go to therapy. And I feel like the problem is that we want to fix people. And we got to stop trying to fix each other and work on ourselves and go with people who are dealing with their own stuff. I think that the most important thing for anyone that's watching this to take away from this is stop trying to be Bob the Builder with folks. You can't build a bear. You can't build. Only man you can build is the one that you make. You can't build a woman. You can build her up and support her, but you can't give her tools. Her tools came from grandmama, auntie and them, or because she went to therapy to get rid of the negative tools that was throwing her mechanisms off and going to get what she needs to learn. There are women who need to take classes in Bible studies and learn how to be good or enjoy the art of their femininity. And there's nothing wrong with getting it at any age of life. It's never too late to learn your gifts. And once you gain that and you empower yourself with that, you ain't gonna be bothered with none of this. All your clients that you got, Brother Ty, that you have been blessing them to teach them how to heal and to move on. I think also they need to figure out what is it in them that feels like they need to have somebody else validate who they are. Why can't you just deal with you and say she ain't working out? Deuces, ain't nobody risking your life over ever.
Exactly.
You know, I just feel like we're putting a lot of pressure on people that it ain't their job. It ain't her job. If she can't fulfill the job, then she lost the job. Then you move on to the next person with the right. You have to, because I think the problem is we're trying to make up for stuff. And I think, again, same thing with brothers. If your mama complained all the time about your daddy, if you saw your mother with a revolving door with a bunch of men in and out of your life, you're going to look at women a certain kind of way. You're going to deal with them a certain kind. You're going to talk to them. You don't want to hear them argue. Why? Because you heard your mama going off like that. And so what happens is when you want to not have a dialogue, maybe she wants to talk, you look at it as, this was about to be an argument. So that's a trigger. I'm not saying for you, Ty, I'm just saying in general, with different people, sometimes that happens. And that's why I know that it is so important for us to get the help, to get our therapy, to undo those childhood traumas that we grew up with, the programming that we, as soon as you see a woman go like this, you're like, it might bring you back to your mama when she was doing that.
Right.
She knocked shit out
You make
you.
a good,
You know what I mean? Not you, but I'm
so
just
you
saying
make
anybody.
a good point, Beth. So one thing that, when it comes to the childhood stuff, right? That's one of the things that I teach men too. The relationship that you have, because the majority of the men that I'm coaching are not, they're white men. Most of them are white. The things that I'm coaching them on is after you get out of this, you have to show your kids. If your kids are looking at you getting berated, belittled, disrespected, if your sons are seeing that, what are they going to go after? Your son is trying to be you. You are what a man is to him, and he's trying to be you. So good and bad, the good and bad version of you. If you're tolerating this in your relationship, he's going to seek that out. Your daughters, if you're tolerating that from her mom, she's going to find a man who's like you, who's taking that, who thinks deserves that. So that's why it's not just about the individual, right? How we are and our lives is not just our life, right? Our lives are connected to everyone else around us. How we are with our kids, how we are with our families, how we are with the barista, everything. We all connected. So that's the reason why when I coach men, I'm coaching them on a high level. The way a man gets out of these situations, he has to build himself up. He builds himself up and find his compelling vision. He won't tolerate anything that's going to slow him down from that. If I'm trying to be a great man, that's the reason why, like I said, I don't tolerate any of that. I don't have these conversations with women. I don't argue it. I don't try to convince. I don't try to change no opinions. None of that. You either going, you see who I am, you see what I'm going after, you see what I'm about. Here's what I'm out. You rocking with that? Yes, cool. You have to behave yourself when you're in my car.
No doubt.
Right? You have to behave yourself when you're in my life, because this is my life. If you're not behaving yourself, you're causing me stress.
Right.
And if I gotta be stressed out, I can't focus. I can't focus, and I'm trying to be great. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel. And that's the reason why I focus on men. Because we men always, all of us, one thing all men have in common, most of us trying to be great in some way, and somehow we trying to win.
You know, and if I can add to that, I think the reason other cultures don't really have this issue to the extent that we have it as us as a people is because, and this, a lot of people don't like this, but they understand social class in other cultures, and we kind of shun away from social class. I think us as a whole, everybody believe that because you're interacting with them, you're in the same social class. When social class and social make is so many different dynamics, it's going to be some people over here. It's going to be some people over here. And sometimes you just should not mix and mingle with that. You know, so this will keep down a lot of confusion if we stay within the social classes of who we are, you know, and this type of social class go with this type. It'll keep away the confusion, because a lot of what I have found out, you know, through family, personal experience and stuff, when it comes to social class and social etiquette, some people are not going to have that if they have not been exposed to some of the traits, the people, the education that you have been exposed to. So their things and the way they communicate, and the way they listen, and the way they have their style of everything is going to be totally different. So to add, you know, try to add someone different, you know, to that, it's going to be chaotic all the time, because they don't understand, you know, how you move, how you communicate, how you listen, because of all the different backgrounds. And I think as a culture, if we begin to seriously stick with social classes, I don't think these things right here would go far. It used to be back in the day, a certain type of, like a Lizzo or something like that, she would know to stay in her lane and don't fool with certain people. But since we have okayed everything, people like Lizzo and all that stuff of the world, they feel it's okay to come up. I can remember in high school, it was a yellow hall. I'm from West Texas. It used to be a yellow hall. All the popular people was on this hall. You couldn't pay somebody that was overweight, wore a wig or something like that to come down this hall. But nowadays, everybody feel like they can come down that hall. That's where people come in and say, I mean that, because I still have a yellow lane, and you're just not going to get close to me with all that foolish stuff, you know, that you're saying and what you're talking about, because you just don't fit my realm. I feel like that, for instance, I consider Marlon a friend. He's also a constituent, because we have a background of similar peers. Right. I would be beneath myself, you know, to introduce him to someone of a different social class, because that would reflect him. Because if he is of my peer group and I bring someone of a lower level, that's lowering him also as my friend. So we have to start being careful with who we select to be around us. You know, people used to think when I would say, you know, well, I'm better than you where I am, because I mix and mingle and I think a little bit better than you. It's nothing wrong with that. We have to start letting vomit mix in with roses, and we have to stop it. We really do.
Right. Real tight. I want to address what Dr. Thunder said. And, you know, so I think Dr. Thunder is looking at it from the theological lens, and he's correct. If you look at the theological lens, I think Tyler's looking at it from a secular view, But what Dr. Thunder said that love comes from men. So if you look at the planetary bodies, the man is symbolic of the sun. In the edicts of Scripture, God tells the man to love the wife. He never tells the woman to love the man. But you understand that's semantics, because in a direct sense, men do love their wives. But the love currency for a man is for a woman to reflect the essence of a man. That's a man's love currency, when she acquiesces to the instructions of her husband. And that's why a lot of times in the Scripture, you know, it says, wives, honor and obey your husbands. So when a man is respected, that's his love currency. But men normally give the romanticism of love to the women. And you know, Snuggles, I see you, you know, come on in, because I'm sure you unsubscribe by now. You know, that's what happens when people don't like what you're saying. They'll unsubscribe to your channel. And but I'm okay with that, Doc. See, let me say this. My channel is not for everybody. I'm a man's man. I'm a man. I'm not a cream puff. I say what I say and I mean what I mean. And so my channel is not for everybody. And so I don't get caught up in the sensitive crowds that, you know, they digress from behind the wall. And then when people are real, instead of have an adult conversation, they get in their feelings or either troll or they unsubscribe. I'm okay with that. I only want soldiers on my channel. I want intellectual men and women that are willing to introspect. Because until you introspect, you're going to still have that schema affliction. But see, we live in a society where so many of our women and our men, that anything that they don't like, they get in their feelings because they call this generation the snowflake generation. And they just cry instead of dealing with it. But when you come to the coach clinician, you're going to get this work. Because I'm not going to back down from nobody. I'm going to say what I say. If I had to lose this channel, I'll do it. I'm a warrior. Like Fleet Johnson said, I'm a warrior. I ain't a booty warrior, though. But I'm a warrior. But look, Bev than laugh her ass off. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. And I'm not going to be a slave to political correctness. Either you're going to come in this channel and learn and understand some of the clinical concepts that we're trying to get, or you can get on one of those channels where the men actually lie to y'all and tell y'all what you want to hear. Because what's that song named, Gene? If you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight, girl.
I think the thing is you got the sipping on scissor generation where they sipping on scissor, right?
Right.
So if you sipping on some sipping on, you're on that Ritalin generation that wasn't raised with people who talked, you know, with sentences that begin with, you know, complete sentences. This is a generation who has been raised on syntax, where where you're texting. You don't even, most of these kids don't even know how to have an intellectual conversation because what happens is they're used to texting, they're used to, you know, LMA, you know, LMFO, or it's just all these different things. I had to learn how to talk text, you know, because in college, that's what these kids are doing. So I'm now having to read, and then I had to unlearn it because you don't do that in the paper. Because your teacher don't understand it. And this is for all you really people.
That's right.
Pay attention. When you're writing a business letter, when you're writing a letter, you have to understand. You got to understand how to write. You got to understand how to speak. And you have to understand that there are just certain individuals in certain capacities that don't get it. And so when they don't get it and they don't have an understanding, then it's up to us to we got to be multilingual, multifaceted in how to communicate with the outside world and with each other. And so obviously this is a home family conversation. That's why my sister said to throw up and the roses don't mix. And so I think for a lot of you that are frustrated with some of the comments that you're hearing, you don't have to agree with anything that someone on this panel is saying. But what happens is what we have to learn how to do as a people.
Right.
Because y'all heard me fire off on him about what I don't even know. Look, over there with that white hat on over there, talking about the sisters owe that to us. Meanwhile, back to Rand, we got Dale, we said that, our host, and they said, they like come and we want to go home, and he just left Brazil. I'm not mad at either one of them.
Right.
Okay, with my
but we love you,
all
though,
my
Beth.
languages. I don't care if he dates Rosa from Brazil. And they have a beautiful family. You bring her over here because she's trying to get her paperwork done. I don't care. Everybody got to do what they got to do. Come up, fine, do that. But the thing is you can't say that. And then under the same breath, we got Jean, because I didn't see her name, Jean with the white hat on. Jean said, the sisters owe that to us. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to not be with a woman that does not that is not up to the caliber that you wish for her to be.
I know. Trust me, I know that.
Anyone that has been described wearing the hair color of Skittles, nails like Cruella de Vil, or just long, tentacles. Because quite honestly, I don't even know how you wipe your butt with that. That's just my thing. But if you wish to have the longest nails for the longest time, that's your business. It just, yeah, the lashes. Oh yeah, the Miss Piggy lashes. Now listen,
I call them the
I love
condor
a good
lashes.
lash. I love a good lash. I love a good. I'm not mad at a good lash, but when it comes to the point where you
Yeah,
need
them,
a crane to
It's like a
lift up your eyes, that's not cute. No one, y'all need to Google Snuffleupagus. Google him. When
oh,
you
I
look
grew up
at
watching them.
yes.
when you look at Mr. Snuffleupagus, y'all Google babies. Go
Yeah.
if your lashes reflect Daisy the cow or Mr. Snuffleupagus, when
Mhm.
you can't wear your sunglasses because or your reading glasses because your lashes are protrude, that's too
They
much.
touch.
I'm not mad at a good lash. I ain't never been
Okay.
mad at a good lash.
Mm-hmm.
Lashes are fantastic. But again, even a good hairpiece, whatever you got to do to enhance your beauty, those things are there to enhance, but not to alter and to change. And I think you accepting who you are and enhancing that and learning that because you're learning from music videos. You're watching these music videos teaching you and telling you to prostitute your beauty. Your beauty is a gift to behold, not to be sold. And what happens is, unfortunately, you're not getting that information because your auntie didn't teach you that, your mama didn't show you that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you're growing up, and not all of you, but some of you have been growing up from a generational curse of women who, unfortunately, through systematic oppression, have been taught that their wealth and their worth was in things that didn't even matter. When women, black women, women of culture, we have some of the most beautiful natural features on the planet. That's why you see Dr. O with her dome shining bright, with
Right.
all of her beautiful Afrocentric beautiful features, natural. You see her nails at a length where she can wipe her butt and not cut herself or cause an
Right.
injury or infection. You don't see her up there. She has just enough. I'm just looking at you, sister, loving on you. She has just enough lip, gave you enough color on the lips and little lash, but not too much where you feel like you being stabbed in the eye, in the face while you looking at this YouTube show. There is levels of responsibility with your beauty. So if no one's ever told you that, day is that day. I'm gonna get a little further because my sister started, so I feel like why not? So when you're wearing things, ladies, everything ain't for everybody. I'm not trying to body shame. I'm
Oh,
real with you because I love you and I mean
let's talk about
now,
that. Everything is not for everybody. You know, they be
everybody
wearing that
don't need to see
tight,
your
big
rolls.
belly.
Rolls are meant to be eaten, but
Yes,
they're not meant to be seen by everybody.
yes,
Where's like right now, y'all? Look, I got on because I ain't been doing what I'm
yes.
supposed to do. I've been
And
living
them
my best,
leggings,
and
you
I'm
know, they put
showing
them
it. I'm not
leggings on.
in your leggings. Don't nobody need to see the muffin top and the booty do. The booty where the booty stick
The
out
booty
in the front more than the booty's supposed to do in the back. I
the
love you, but
booty
I'm telling you this out of love. You wear when your body is. I ain't saying you got to have a washboard stomach either. But what I am saying, if you looking pregnant, men and women, if you looking pregnant, that shirt is not the right shirt for you. Those pants are not the right pants for you, and
Right.
you ain't pregnant. If
Beth,
you pregnant, it's fine. Show the baby bump.
Beth,
Show the bump.
Beth.
No, I'm not finished. I am talking. Now, the next thing is you need to wear an empire waist. If you're showing, if you're showing stuff that ain't right, put on the empire waist thing so it just gives you breasts. Ladies, just show, enhance what's beauty, enhance what's right, hide what ain't, hide what you working on. I'm doing it right now. I have a bubble. Look, I'm gonna show you. I got my little bubble dress on, right? Because right here is giving you this, but down here I'm hiding my truth. My truth is I'm a little bloated and I'm just going to tell you the truth. But I'm going to tell you because I love you. Y'all need to stop wearing clothes at the wrong time of the month or the now. Because right now, you are not Nicki Minaj. You don't have Beyonce's trainer. You ain't training. You can't do it. It don't look right. Just because you see it look like that in the ad, unless your body is like that person ad, you don't look like them. So wear something that is complementary to your body shape for right now. If you got beautiful, big, pretty legs, then you give them legs. But if your stomach is protruding out deeper than your knees, then you need to put on one of them cute little belt bubble, empire waist, right? bubble at the knee, give them knee and lightweight thigh, but put on some shorts underneath there because don't nobody want to look at your gynecological exam. I'm offended. I don't want to see all that. And nobody else should want to. Listen, it's your personal private business. Auntie is here because I love you. I would even told that man I'm on his show to hush and let me tell my young nieces that this is what it is. It's what it is. And if no one has maybe has ever loved you enough to tell you that. And it's not because you're a bad person, but I promise you, if you take them things off, if you take them daggone machetes off your fingernails and you go for a nice action length nail, first of all, you'll save some money. Secondly, you won't have infections. You will not be messing up your nail bed. You can grow it back out. You just got to keep cutting it short. You'll grow out your nail bed. See, that's all the lies that they've told you. Mm-hmm. We as women, and all of you all that are contouring the bejesus out of your nose, this is who you are.
Hold tight. Listen.
That's who you are. Own that.
Listen, hold tight,
wearing hair, looking like Crayolas.
I see Dr. Oklahoma too.
And the whole Skittles, taste the rainbow. That should not be. You are not rainbow bright.
Well, right, you're right.
Queen, you are a princess, and I'm gonna need you to understand that from how you walk out the door.
All right,
and
listen.
Stop wearing them furry shoes in the street. Don't need a house shoes.
Right. Listen, Beth, I'm gonna ask you another question.
And a bonnet on your head. Now you see, I think got a rag on. What is a cute rag? You know, little silky, whatever. Because I was up here with y'all today, and I didn't want to embarrass nobody. And I put some good oil in my hair because it was a situation.
All right, so listen, hold tight, Beth, hold tight.
And y'all need to stop going crazy, looking like you are having a bad day, looking like a man schman. Look like a schman, not even a man, a schman, a trainee, and you're a girl. But you done put all this stuff on your face. Ain't nothing wrong with looking like a trainee if that's what you're. But I'm saying is,
Beth, hold tight.
Be responsible.
Beth, hold tight, Beth. I got you, sis. You there? I'm going. I got to get some of that. What you get. But let me say this. Gene, I'm gonna bring you on.
Got me ready. She got me on the tangent. I've been holding back on how to get it out.
But listen,
it's so much better now. They gotta stop it.
Yeah,
they have to
I don't know what she's drinking.
Can we give them a ticket? Can we give them a ticket? We need
to. And Beth, hold tight.
Be like,
Beth, hold tight for a minute.
I would wear that out in the street. If I see one more of y'all with a bonnet on your head in the street, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna come for you like your mom and your grandmother should. It's gonna be in love. We're gonna snatch that foolishness off your head in the name of Jesus. If you have a friend, unless you walk out the house like that, she ain't your friend. She hates you.
All right. So listen, Gene. Real quick, because Beth, I got to come to California because I don't know what the hell you're drinking. But real quick, you got to understand when you're dealing with Leos, you got to come correct. So I'm giving you a kitten pass, but I'm about to turn to a line in a minute. But real quick, I want to ask you a question, Gene. I'm gonna let you speak. But so Beth, you made the comment. You said that you make the comment about Rosa coming to America for a green card, but that's a misnomer. Just because women are from foreign countries don't necessarily mean they want to come to America. Most foreign women from those countries don't even want to come to America because it's toxic. But go ahead, Gene. Break it down. Go ahead, brother.
So the first thing I wanted to address is what you said about people like unsubscribing and getting butthurt and things of that nature.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you made me think of it. I had a situation yesterday, right? So this woman comes into my she mentioned me in a comment on Facebook, and then she did the big eye, so like that thing, I like the way you look or whatever. Then she friend requested me, and she immediately sent me her phone number. So we started having a conversation, and me and Seven, we're boys because we're very much alike. Like I'm you're gonna hear it. I'm not. I'm not sugarcoating nothing.
Right.
This woman, she's a professor. She owns real estate. She owns nail salons. She does all this different stuff. She retired at 45, right? So this is an intelligent, educated woman. Anything I said to her that sounded like constructive criticism of Black women, she lost her mind and she starts yelling and screaming. Right? I said to her, listen, no reason to get like that. debunk what I'm saying. And she kept on yelling and screaming, and she's like, I don't think we're a match. I said, you're right, we're not. And so I hung up the phone. She blows up my phone, sending me text messages, right? Then she sends me this song, I'd rather be with you and all your bullshit. Now, I don't even know this woman, so you don't know what my bullshit is. But, just because she basically, and then she turns around and she tells me, listen, I'm spoiled. I'm not used to, guys, dealing with me like you.
Yeah, she loved you because she's like, oh my God, he just corrected me. I love him.
She said, if anything you say about Black women, if you could preface it with, it's not their fault, they're not to blame, that would go a long way. I just blocked the bounce, bro. I mean, this woman literally
crazy as hell, man. My granddad used to say they're crazy as hell, and that's the problem that we have now. They got a schema affliction, and so let me tell you something, Beth. I love you, Beth, because you got a lot of fire.
Y'all are killing me tonight. I'm sorry.
How deep the denial is.
I think we are mentally ill.
Yeah, we got something in this piece. I'm going to do some diagnostic consultations. There's some serious mental illness up in this piece.
I never heard that song before. I never heard it.
God.
So listen, go ahead, brother. Listen, Ty, hold tight because I want you to listen to come in as well. I'm gonna ask Ty this question. Why is manhood, Ty, under attack? Why is manhood in America, Ty, under attack as it relates to simple things like catering to a man? Why is manhood under attack?
Well, when you have I was having this conversation earlier today, actually, with some women who I care about, and they were, they're single women, they're a little bit older, 50s or whatever the case, and they was asking me about the situation, and I brought up the fact that I believe that feminism has switched the roles in many ways, and of course they disagreed. I think both of them were feminists. They said they were feminists, and so what's happening now in America is that women are being told that they can have it all.
Right.
They're being told they can have it all. You can have the career, the husband, the kid. You can have everything. That is not possible.
Right.
It's not possible. And then they'll point to, what about this woman? What about that woman? What about this? And they don't really see the underlying what happened to make that. They see the success. They see what's happening on the outside, but they don't see what it took to get there. And I try to make women understand. When I talk to women, I try not to have a conversation with women. I got drawn in it. The conversation started because they were asking me for advice. They were asking me, well, what's going on with this, Ty? What's that? And I was like, okay. It started off good, and then it go all the way down with them telling me how things are. This is how it should be. This is how men should be doing. This is how men.
Right.
And so men are hearing this message too. And a lot of men, if they weren't raised by strong fathers, or if their fathers weren't strong men, or they didn't have fathers around, whatever the case, they try to do whatever they think to make women happy. They try to listen to the message and try to follow what the women say or do that, but that never works. Matter of fact, when I'm on a call with a gentleman and I say, I tell him, you made mistakes. You got yourself in this situation, and I got to show you how you got into the situation, how you're gonna get out of it. And one of the biggest mistakes that men make is that they believe it's their job to make women happy.
Right.
That's the one thing they believe. They also believe that the woman is the prize. When they believe that, they don't realize all the stuff that they bring to the table in order for the relationship to work. A relationship with a woman can't work if a man is not successful.
Right.
That man has to be successful, not because he's going to be buying everything, because when men aren't successful, they are miserable. Men are miserable when they're not winning in this world. They're miserable when they're not succeeding. No man is out here not winning and sucking and being a man. He's not doing that. If he is doing that, then he's not a man. That's a man that she's going to be taken care of. A man that she's not going to be able to stay with for long term anyway. Men have to succeed, and they have to succeed before they even get with a woman. They have to be having leadership, because when she comes into his life, she's on his path. That's the reason why women care about what a man does. Men don't care about what a woman does. Is she pretty? Okay. That's the first thing we care about. Afterwards, we care about all the other stuff. But a woman has to make sure that a man's succeeding because she could get pregnant. Right. And when she gets pregnant, she needs to be taken care of. Remember, we've been humans for 300,000 years. Yes, maybe women could take care of themselves now if she get pregnant. But for the majority of our existence as humans, we've only been civilized for about 13,000 years. 10,000 years, we had civilization. We've been humans for 300,000 years. So for most of our existence, women could not survive without the protection of a man. So that man, she's going to always still innately want to make sure that that man got something he could take care of things. That's the reason why he has to pay for. That's why we have these rituals. That's the reason why we have these ideas in ourselves. So a man has to be succeeding. But when we start having these things where she can have it all, then you have men who don't really have direction. Then where am I? What do I do? Right. He starts to connect his value to her, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
And I think Ty, you make some. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I think you make some excellent points. You know, a lot of times in the American construct, a lot of women come to men saying, you know, I got degrees, I got stat. Men don't care about no damn degree. We don't care about no degrees, how much money you got. Masculine men don't care. Masculine men, you know, they sell men the idea of a commodity. But what men want from women is femininity, firm, fitness, kind, cooperative, willing to listen and introspect. Not, you know, she got to get the last word or she's trying to emasculate. If I was in the game, I don't care about your damn degree. Dr. O is a doctor, and Dr. I want you to talk about, but I don't care about your degrees or your status. I care, can you cooperate and respond to my masculine core as a man? Because I see you over there, pretty kid, because Miss Beth Payne, because I let you slide on this one. The true alpha dog of me will touch you off the platform, but I love you. That's why I let you run your mouth. But in general, I don't tolerate disrespect from nobody. You'll see the warrior come up with me. You don't want to see the warrior. So I like you, Beth. You better be glad you got a love pass. I love you, Beth. But in general, I don't tolerate disrespect. I'm a man, and I'm a dial man. I'm an old archetype of the men of the past that said what they meant and meant what they said. I'm gonna share something with you, Doc. We talked in private. I've lost many jobs because I'm not a cream puff. You know, I went to one of the best schools in the country. And because my views weren't PC, people try to sabotage me and get rid of me. And that's fine. But I'm going to stand firm in my masculine core because there are a lot of black men that are suffering in silence because they're too damn scared to speak up. They're scared about what their friends going to say and what women going to say. Either you going to listen, like Moses said, whoever's on the Lord's side, let him come. And that's what men are saying. Either you're going to get on the ship or we're going to either abort and go elsewhere to women that are going to respect us and love us as men. That's what masculine men do. Masculine men set order. Doc, let me ask you a question. You know, a lot of people always talk about you're highly educated, and Beth, you're educated as well. And so many women try to sell men on the premise of getting a degree. What women don't understand, men don't care about your degrees. We can care less about degrees. Degrees don't make our penis hard. I'm just being blunt. We don't care about your degrees, but we do care about how you can be. See, there's a commodity. It's a term I created called the commodification of subjugation as it relates to solipsism. But then there's a commodification, a glorification as it relates to building. When a woman is a commodity as it relates to glorification of a man, then they build infrastructures and communities. But when a woman is a commodity, want to see a man as a commodity as he bow down to her and kiss her hand and drag his knuckles, then he continues the cycle of simp culture. And so what you're seeing now is that men are saying enough. They're defecting. And that's why I do these shows. That's why I, as a licensed clinical therapist, not a cream puff. I mean, I can show you my war trophies on the wall. My damn war trophies are real. I'm the real damn deal. But I'm a warrior. And I don't tolerate no disrespect. And so that's why I do these shows, because I want our women to see that there are black men out here that love them. That's why we're still talking. But just like in the days of Noah, eventually Noah is going to get quiet. And all the men are on the ship, they're going to get on the ship and they're going to sail away. And so that's why we do these shows, not for chicks to get in their feelings and unsubscribe and get mad because they don't like what nobody said. I don't care if you unsubscribe. For everyone that unsubscribe, I'm going to get 20 more warriors that's going to follow this regime. I'm a recruiter. And so, like I said, that ain't going to stop me. It just shows your insecurities and your immaturities as an individual. Doc, talk about degrees. You're highly educated. Beth is highly educated.
You know, that's one of the first things that I noticed that we as women say, even, you know, to me, when women come talk to me, you know, the first thing they say is, well, you know, I got an MBA, or, you know, I got this and that. I can honestly say that's one of the last things that I say, because I don't want to sell myself based on my degrees or my finances. I think that right there is an add-on, you know, when you have me, you know, around as a friend, as your lady, or anything. I think that is second nature, but I think society has placed so much in that. I think that's why we put an emphasis to that. And last week I had put on social media, because I was trying to show these men that these women that are out here saying that they got all these degrees and all this money and all this stuff, they're really selling wolf tickets. Because I put my own income tax out there. Women aren't making the money that they're asking men to make. They're just not doing it. You know, like I told them, I say I'm in that great 9%. So, I mean, I want some of you guys to show me your income tax. Not one person has showed me yet. On my social media, that is the least liked post that I have. And normally my posts just go. So these women are lying. They're selling wolf tickets off of something that they're just not used to. And like I say, when it comes to education, I think you should see more in a woman. Besides that, you should see my personality. You should see my conversation. You should see the skills that I bring when it comes to listening and grammar. If the first thing a woman bring up is her education, I think you should run. I think you should just leave them right there. That should be an add-on later in the conversation, but it should not be first. You know, it just shouldn't be first.
Beth, what's your response to that as an educated woman that's an actress? Beth Payne, once again, the audience, was an actress in How I Got Away with Murder. I should say how she got away with that kombucha, whatever she's drinking. But How I Got Away with Murder. And so, Beth, are you there? Are you frozen? Are you there? Is she frozen?
Did she freeze? She froze up.
Oh, she froze up. All right. So How I Got Away with Murder. So, Gene, piggyback on that, brother.
On what in particular?
We were just talking about, you know, what Doc was talking about, degrees in education.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely talk about that, because when I met my ex-wife, she was in the first year of medical school. I married her the second year of medical school. And so, but I divorced her when she was a practicing physician making lots of money. So, and I divorced her. So, you know, like you said, it's not the degrees that, I mean, she went from being like my best friend and you know, supporter and all of that, to like condescending, you know, sarcastic, elitist, you know, just everything that she thought she would never be, she became. So
unfortunately, you know, me and Gene, we've talked about this before. Unfortunately, I find that insecure women or women that don't have much to offer you, brothers, they tend to lead with their education, or they're going to lead with their finances. They're not going to be able to sell you anything else, or they're going to try to lead, you know, with their bodies. You know, they don't have anything else. If you can't find a good conversation, you know, in someone, if you can't find good listening skills in someone, you know, I think you should leave. I don't think someone should lead with their education. Like I say, that's one of the least things I bring up. You know, I don't bring that up. You know, and when people find out, you know, they're always amazed. You know, I got 4 graduate degrees. That's not anything I broadcast, because that's secondary to me as a person. I'm an individual. I'm gonna be an individual. Even when those degrees fade away, I'm still gonna be this person. So I think that right there is just a takeaway. I don't think that's a priority. Anyone
what was bad about her was that she understood all of this. We used to have conversations about it, and she brought way more than that to the table. My ex-wife is Cuban. She grew up in a traditional Cuban home. You know, she cooked, she cleaned. I mean, she was a traditional woman. But once she started to become successful, you know, she changed. And what's interesting is that throughout the years, she's taken a lot of like professional development, personal growth stuff. She spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this stuff, right? And yet to this day, my daughter is 14 years old. One of my daughter's biggest complaints about her mother is that she talks down to people, that she sees herself over people. So she's spent all this money. She doesn't try to talk to me like that anymore because she saw where it got her. But she spent all this money to become someone, to combat that, but it's still, prevalent to the point where my daughter sees it.
Right. So to add a little to that, in order for a person to succeed in America, you have to become masculine. Like you have to, when you're in a position where you're in charge of other people, like your wife, if she's in charge of other people, she's telling people what to do. When you start having that, you have to get into your masculine energy, right? You have to get into that. It's very difficult to turn that off when you get home, right? So that's how you have to become it in order to survive, or else she'll get walked over in her profession if she don't become that.
Hey, so to your point, we used to have this conversation because when she first started practicing, she was practicing in Salem, Massachusetts, and I was here in New York. So we had an apartment here. We had the house here. We had an apartment there. We had the house here. And when I would come up, she would be like in that masculine energy. And I would be like, what's going on with you? I'm not one of your employees. This went on for a while. And then one day she actually said to me, she said, this is who I am. I'm not going to change. And I actually like who I am. And I said, well, I don't like who you are. And this relationship is over. Like, this is not going to work for me. And that's how we ended up divorced. And then when she saw that I was serious, she wanted to backpedal, but by then it was too late. I was out.
So we have the esteemed guest, Dr. Thunder. He popped in. Dr. Thunder, I want you to introduce yourself. And you've been listening to this conversation because this conversation is critical, Doc. And I know you're looking at things from a theological lens, and I welcome that because I grew up in church. I grew up conservative. And so, Dr. Thunder, tell me what you're hearing as we resonate this conversation, brother.
Yeah, well, thanks for the invite, and
Yes,
I look forward to our conversation.
No doubt, likewise.
I think it's about a week or a week and a half. Well, I guess it's a couple weeks actually.
Right.
But I look forward to that conversation, and I'm going to get you on my show sometime soon.
Yes, sir.
We'll figure that out. Yeah, it's interesting. The degree thing for women is interesting because, again, a man doesn't care about a woman's degrees.
Yes, sir.
A man does not care about a woman's earning power. A man doesn't care about any of that stuff. The only kind of men that care about that would be, beta chimpanzees.
Right.
It would be ones that are looking for a woman to provide for them.
Right.
But of course, a woman that has, doctoral degree or master's degree or whatever it is, and is making, say if they're making low six figures, they're not going to be able to stay with someone that makes less than them and doesn't have at least the same degree. It's very difficult. It would take an unusual woman to be able to do that because of hypergamy. And hypergamy is not a bad thing, by the way. Hypergamy is actually a good thing. For most of human history, we were dealing with extreme sort of survival kind of, situations where a woman would require a man or she would die. She needed a man for protection. We're no longer in that place. And I think what happens is because men have done such a masterful job of creating the world, developing all of the infrastructure, so that it can seem like men are not necessary.
Right.
And but obviously we are necessary, and not just for procreation. We are still necessary for all the other reasons. Men and women need each other.
Right.
We need each other, and one thing that I'm happy to see, in the sort of men's space, the manosphere kind of space, is these kinds of conversations, because if we don't get this together, if you don't get it together, we're going to continue to be in trouble, and it's going to only get worse. It's only going to get worse. And I want to tell you something. I have this series of videos on my YouTube channel called Blue Pill Testimonials, and there's 10 videos, and I basically just tell stories about, bad experiences that I had dating. And I put those out there not because I was trying to, be critical of women or try to put women down or anything like that. I was just, saying stuff that happened to me, because I think often is the case that when you become successful as a man, people can look at you like, man, they must not have, had that many struggles. They must have always, had everything together, and I'm a tenured professor, and so I think sometimes people could look at you like, maybe you didn't have to deal with the same kind of issues. And I think men are very much alienated and very much, gaslighted and everything else, because when we try to tell those stories, when we have tried to express those things, it's even amongst other men will even gaslight us.
Right.
Mr. Palmer calls them, he calls them simp enforcers. So anyhow, one story I haven't told in that series of videos yet is, so I grew up with, my dad, I grew up riding motorcycles with my dad. I probably started riding motorcycles when I was 2 or 3, and I have inherited a couple motorcycles from my father. And one of the motorcycles was expensive motorcycle. It was a touring bike with like all of the radio and all the stuff on it, bags and everything. And at the time, at some point when I owned that motorcycle, I was dating someone, black female, and I said, "Hey, let's go for a ride on my motorcycle." And she says to me, she actually said this. She says, "I'm not going to get caught on that motorcycle." So her thought of that motorcycle was the motorcycle wasn't the style of motorcycle, that it wasn't a crotch rocket. So she turned her nose up at the motorcycle that I had, which was an expensive bike, and but that's like a pretty common thing. And it wasn't like she had anything better. She just didn't want to be caught on my motorcycle.
Right.
Right. But this is the kind of stuff, and I sort of I liken this to some experiences that I had early on in high school, in particular, where the black girls would pretty frequently clown me because I talked proper, right? So now disproportionately, those girls that clowned me, they're not doing that well now.
Right.
But I think a big issue is mate selection. Mate selection skills are really poor these days.
Dr. Thunder, I was wanting to ask the question. I was actually just talking about your grammar. I think you have excellent grammar. I was talking to him about it. I always talk about people's grammar, and I mean yours. I mean your voice is calm and soothing. I want to ask you a question. How do you feel about? Because I was talking about it earlier about social class. I think that's one area that we hate to look at. You know, our community, when it comes to social class and social etiquette, it's like we don't want to be placed in the proper social classes. And sometimes individuals think that, you know, it's a put down. But I think if we really jumped into the social class of where we're supposed to be like other cultures, I don't think we would have the defaults in relationships like we have.
Well, I think that there's an aspect of that I agree with, but in Black culture, remember, there's this hyper glorification of thugs and a hyper glorification of low value men.
Right.
And so even girls that grew up, that would have grown up the same way that I did, they would disproportionately make the same criticism of the way that I talk. And you can't help where you come from. And I certainly wasn't going to talk differently to make them consider me or something like that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's a real problem. We don't see that problem in other cultures, not to the same degree.
Right.
And then there's this like unfair expectation for Black men to be some sort of athletic, but then also great in the boardroom, also great in the bedroom, also great X, Y, like 1,000 different ways, that all these ridiculous expectations that no one person is going to be able to do all those things.
Right.
And I have to say this, and this is disproportionately true. If, I'm sorry to say it this way, but if a dude is blowing your back out, then he's probably doing that a lot instead of actually, chasing the bag. Right? He's probably doing that with a bunch of folks. And that's probably a dominant portion of his, of what it is that he's doing instead of chasing the bag. So usually will be the case is these kind of dudes, and every once in a while you can find some, something that, some anomaly, but usually is the case is these low budget dudes that are, I mean, you only have 24 hours in a day. And so you can either be chasing the bag or you can be chasing women. If you're chasing women, then you're not chasing the bag. So then that's always going to put you behind.
Doc, I like something you said earlier. I want you guys to listen to this real quick. And then, Beth, I want to ask you a question. It is about 7 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock. But, Doc, I'm going to ask you the question about the commodification, a term I created called the commodification of subjugation as it relates to solipsism. And then we're going to shut it down in a minute. But I'm honored to have Sister Beth Payne. Beth Payne is a famous actress out of California. I forgot. I know. I ain't trying to.
Don't nobody know who I am.
Yes, they do.
But we're gonna show you love, Beth.
My voice, but they don't know me.
But it's okay. But that's what we're gonna still show you love. But listen to this, guys, real quick. Listen.
There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In a factory, man works in factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you. got my own job, do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we are now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the #1 song in America a couple of years ago, ain't nothing going on but the rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a job. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. And so now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and lonely. Have placed money before family. You see, black men want to do what white men do. Buy their family a house in the suburbs, 2 cars, and once a year go down to Orlando for Disney World vacation. And when black men can't do that, they don't feel they're worthy enough to stay. Now you see, the problem is there are 2 responses black women can give to black men when they're out of work. Now the first response some women say is, well, if you ain't working, you got to go. If you ain't working, you got to go. That's the mistake. Because black men don't hire nor fire, nor control the means of production. Now, before black men say that's right, brother, you tell them. Please, brothers, quit assuming that black women took our jobs away. Because black women also do not hire nor fire. We are being played off against each other for some crumbs. We recommend the second response. For black women to say to that man, well, if you ain't working, can you at least go back to school? Can you at least learn a skill? Or at least make dinner or wash dishes while I'm gone? But the problem is there are very few black men that look to black women for a definition of manhood. Black men, as I said earlier, want to do what white men do. And that means be the breadwinner. What I'm getting at is, we're going to have to redefine what it means to be a man. Because if being a man means being the provider, with 25% of black men out of work, that's a suicidal definition. You see, if I lose my job tomorrow, I'm still a man. As long as I'm responsible, treat my wife correctly, raise my children, that's responsibility.
Really.
So, real fast. Dr. O, you heard that. Dr. Thunder, you heard that. And Beth Payne, you heard that. That piggybacks on, that was Dr. Jawanza Kanjufu. And real quick, Dr. Thunder, because I know you're intellectual. But that goes back to what Tal was talking about earlier, you know, and what Gene was talking about, how a lot of times black men are more or less being sequestered and not being respected. So, Dr. Thunder, I want to ask you this question. Has economic sustainability, as women have more or less entered the workforce, reduced their ability to cater to their men?
Absolutely. I think that have a lot to do with it because, again, women are looking at what a man, I can't say this enough, what a man is bringing to the table. And that's what I was speaking with Gene about earlier. A lot of these women are holding men feet to the fire for areas that they're lacking in. A lot of these women, like I was saying before, they do not have the finances that they're requiring these brothers to have. As you know, I put my tax return up there. I am one of the 9% of women who earn the type of money that they say they want these black men to earn, and these women are doing it. I haven't found one W-2 up there. About over 50% of the majority of us as black women, they're going to bring in anywhere from $35,000 to about $50,000 a year. So they fall into this category of when they're trying to say what the black man can't do, what they fall in that category too, because it's a larger degree of them making the same money really that brothers are making, and they don't have the sense to know that they can put these 2 incomes together and at least be a median earning family. But we don't have women that are savvy enough like that. They rather put men down for what they lack and expect them to get. So I think finances are a huge power play for some of these women who just do not have the economics that they need, and they hold that over their head. And if they're not bringing in their money, say they have somebody who's bringing in $20,000 or $30,000 a year, if they're not bringing in the kind of money and they making $35,000 a year, they're going to put that man down and they're going to lead and they're going to be the man of the house, because in their world and the way they have brought it in, they're lacking. And 9 times out of 10, what I tell these brothers that I mentor, stop moving into the homes of these women, because that's giving women control over them. Stop driving these women cars. Get your own places and your own homes. My father used to tell me, a man's home is his castle. You know, a man is supposed to move you into his home.
Right.
That's his domain.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, you see more men moving into the home of women. That's it, everything is out of order, and when they do that, these women feel like, okay, this is mine. This is my kingdom. I'm gonna run it.
Yep.
That's unfortunately the way it is. And like I said, these young men are making it very easy for these controlling type of women. And I talk to these men like that because women don't want them to know that. Women who are quick to move a man into their house, dangle finances, not try to help him self-improve, improve his credit report, finances, help him get a job. These women want to control these young men in the worst way. And they're the worst type of predators. And I always advise them to stay away from these type of women.
Right. Beth Payne, and then Dr. Thunder, I want you to bring it in, and also Jean and Ty. But you guys heard what Dr. Jawanda Kunjufu talked about. Ty talked about in part about men establishing boundaries. Jean has talked about how a lot of times men with lesser money from other countries are given the respect. Because I'm going to say this, and a lot of people might not like it. A man is not necessarily defined by his money. If I lost my job today for 2 years, am I less than a man? No. It's the essence of a man only the amount of money that he brings to a home, or is the essence of a man how he leads his family until he can get the income that he needs?
You know what? I would take not to interject, Marlon, and I do apologize, but let me just say this, for the record, I would take a man with absolutely nothing that leads me. It's nothing more than I like to be led and to given direction as to what to do. Like when a powerful man that can lead a home, like I was telling young ladies, he is ultimately supposed to be the one, if he's in his right mind, to run the finances, because us as women, we're more emotional. And so we're going to spend based off of emotion, where he is more of a saver. I don't know. Some women don't think that makes sense. But if this man is in his right mind and he's leading and he's doing everything that he's supposed to do, that's his role also.
Right.
I don't want to do anything. I just want to be a lady. That's all I want to do. I want to make sure the home is what it's supposed to be. But I am mentally, I have to be taken care of. Marlon can tell you, I'm very rigid when it comes to that. I don't want to be any other thing than what I am. I don't want to raise my voice. I don't want to do any of that. I'm comfortable being exactly what I'm doing. I don't want my nails to mess up.
Right.
None of it.
Right. Beth, I want you to piggyback on what Dr. Jawanda Kunjufu said when you hear that. And it's because it's economic empowerment for a lot of women. The death kill why many don't cater to the men. Real quick, Beth. Real quick.
I agree with everything that Dr. McCoy just mentioned, but also with what he was saying. That whole dynamic. Snuggles was wondering who taught these women the thought process. It was a corporate structure of dismantling the African American family.
Right.
And what we are doing right now is describing and discussing the evidence and the results of that defractionalizing, the demarginalizing, the repetitive breakdown through first providing all these women just to unbalance the scale. Then by doing that, pushing them to do it, providing educational. If you think about it, in 87, that's when all of those 3 strikes laws came. That's when a lot of things were happening with our young brothers going to prison at like enormous rates. So you're taking men from where? The household. The same drugs that they're selling around the corner. These white boys have made millions of dollars, billions of dollars off of the weed that our cousins, our family members went to jail for. They've taxed it. So it's more than just, it's a whole thing. It was a setup. And I think the thing is that we are fighting each other based on a setup, when we need to look at it for what it is. Because this was a setup to make you believe that if you're Black enough. I was told, even right now, recently, I went out twice for SNL because They were looking for somebody who could do a ton of characters. And because I speak all these languages and all the stuff that I'm able to do, they mentioned me twice on The View. And 2 times I auditioned, had contracts signed. Beth, you're not black enough.
Oh, wow.
They don't want an image of an African American woman out there.
Right.
Who's multilingual, who's educated, who can come and hang, and ain't no white woman to date can speak 7 languages on anybody's show.
Right.
But because of the dichotomy of how they even want to project us as being angry, as being loud and boisterous and I'm not just the images that they want of us is if we are only one thing, as if we look only one way, as if so now you're telling me that I'm not something because you're not comfortable. But that is the truth. And that's what we've been dealing with for years. And so you're dealing with cycles. And the reason why I speak all the languages is because honestly, I had a cousin who was in a gifted program who ended up going to jail for 3 strikes. But he was speaking French and going to inner city schools. When they started doing these programs, they were supposed to be boys and girls clubs, but they were really introductions to the gangs, the vice lords, the Crips, all of the gang banging, all of that stuff, the guns, all of the things that you put drugs into communities. You take away their stability. You remove the men. You remove the leadership. Then you got boys that are extra feminine for whatever reason.
Right.
You're screwing up the food. So the food have all these feminine hormones. So it's I love what you said because I was sending it out to people, but it's that plus everything else.
Right.
So I honestly think that we all need therapy to heal.
I agree.
From coming up from a generation of women from the second wave of feminism.
Right.
Feminism second wave was my mama.
Right.
All her girlfriends.
Right.
I'm woman, here we were. These boots was made for walking. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
They were emerging that in. RESPC, we want respect, we want this, we want that. The people, the record industry is very much a part of the division between us.
That's true. I totally agree with that.
We can't, if you're not listening to music that is advocating for you to be separate, it's not advocating for you to call out women bitches and hoes and tricks. Black people didn't have that kind of money to redistribute that music. That music was run by the same people that run the prison systems, the private ones.
Right.
The new way they can make the new slave was putting us into jails. Period. You can remove. How do you break down families? How do you break down the whole system? You give women power where they didn't have it.
Right.
You demean them through music by the men that are supposed to be protecting them. And now in houses, you've got little boys listening to their mothers rapping, talking shit, angry, frustrated. Girls hearing that bitch in a hoe is okay, so I'm gonna call my girl, we bitches. No, you're not. Don't you ever call yourself and refer yourself as a female dog. When I was coming up, you call me a bitch. That's fighting words to me. Clearly, you're ready to fight with me. But now it's so casual. It's no big deal. Oh, ho, no. Are you gardening? What you calling? It's not a. So what happens is we have been desensitized. Our race of people have been desensitized for the last 30 years. They've been pumping information, misinformation, confusion, lies, and falsities. At one point, it used to be gangster rap. NWA was like, "Ooh, it's a big deal." Now that's all you're hearing on regular radio. So on the way to school, instead of singing "The wheels go, the bus go round and round," your kids are listening to "Bitches ain't nothing but hoes and tricks." Your daughter's listening to I want to, just whatever the WAP song.
Right.
Because what happens is they flipped it. The girls got tired of being objectified. So now they're going into your masculinity, which for men is their penis. So they're going to talk about if this is work, if this ain't right. So now we're fighting. Now you got girls talking like men who shouldn't be talking like that, period. But who's paying them to say it? Who's funding it all? And not not Jay-Z, not Diddy. It's money behind them. Those are the big money makers. They're just a puppet. So I think it's like Nikki, all of these people, Young, the Bird, and all of them, they have bigger money behind them.
Right.
That pimp them out, okay, to use them to become prophets and verbally confuse and reprogram all these millennials.
Right. There is definitely a social processing going
So
on.
it's a bigger picture.
I totally agree. That's an excellent expose, Beth. Todd, and then Dr. Thunder, and then Gene. Then we're gonna take it home. It's 3 hours in. Thank you, Beth. Thank you for your commentary. But Todd, real quick, make it short. What did you get from that short snippet by Dr. Jawanza Kanjufu? And then Dr. Thunder, I want you to give a quick snafu on what you heard. And then Gene, make it quick, and we're gonna bring it home because 6'5" is tired. I've been going all day, and I've been traveling, and I need some of what Beth got so I can go to sleep. So go ahead, Todd, break it down for me, brother. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm happy that Beth brought it there because I think that's something that we miss when we look at our dysfunction between each other, black men and black women. We don't own this country. This is not our country. We're behind enemy lines. Racism is the fact that we have one group that owns and monopolizes everything. They control the food, the water, the media, the medicine, the education, all of that. We're taught by them. When we hear about us, it's from their mouths. We listen to their music, even though it's maybe black people saying it, they're funding it. What happened to right now? We're going through George Floyd and all this Black Lives Matter. Where's the public enemy? Where's the public enemy group that replaced public enemy? We should be. Where's the fight the power music? There's none of that. I haven't heard not one song talking about like that's on the radio. That's talking about bringing black people together in this day and age. What we going through? This is the problem. This is not how we have to see the jokes that's being played right in front of our face, right? So that video, I'm so happy that we've seen that video, and I'm so happy that it's from that long ago, because this has been happening for a long time. This is not something new. This separation between men and women, if our men and women can't come together, then we're always going to be, they're going to pick us off one by one. They remove the men. You remove the men, who's teaching the boys, right? Who's teaching the girls how to be feminine? This is why we have this problem. This is what happens after the crack era. This is what happens after the war on drugs. This is our dysfunction. This is the result of that. What we have now, we have to see the jokes for what it is, and we have to stop fighting each other. Now, I'm happy what Dr. O mentioned about the class, the socioeconomic class that we have, because there is a class in the black community that is very difficult to see because we live in the same neighborhoods. But me as a kid who grew up in the hood, I grew up in the hood, but I had my own bedroom. I had nice clothes. I was seen as a kid who was pretty well off. I was picked on as a kid because I was handsome and all that stuff. And I knew not to mess around with certain people. I knew not to go around some people because I knew I wasn't tough enough to deal with those people, because I knew that they were going to try to take my money or they were going to try to take this from me. I couldn't deal with those people, right? Like Dr. Dunner was saying, you're not gonna try to lower yourself for what they want. You're not going to try to lower yourself to appease other people. But that's what we have now. We have a culture where it's like cool to be low. It's like cool to be with the messed up hair or the long. It's like cool to do that. It's cool to be the kid who calling the girls the B's and the O's. You know what I mean? It's cool. That's not cool. Where has that been cool? And it's a shame. And the bad thing is that the elders, they don't even respect the elders. They don't even respect the people who are telling them, no, chill out with that. Chill out. Don't do this. They're following after the idiots. And then you wonder why there's dysfunction, right? So I think that I'm happy that we're having this conversation. And I'm happy that, like I always say, I coach men. When the men are doing what they're supposed to be doing, they focus on them, we can start creating communities. We have to create our own community so we can have our own table. We can start teaching our own kids. I'm gonna wrap it up with this. I'm connected to a brother who has a educational program for children of color. Right, he does flashcards with African American, like Black History, flashcards, and he's connected with educator who have this program called the Black Math Genius. Right, and it's basically a math program that's teaching kids math from a Afrocentric centered program. Right, because math was created in Africa. Right, the Greeks learned it from the Africans. So the Black Math Genius was just in the news because there's a white school somewhere, I believe it's in Virginia, that does not want to teach the kids this math curriculum because they're saying that it's racist because it's focusing on Black people. Whereas the Black kids have a 25% proficiency in math in that county, in that school. They don't care about the fact that they're failing these Black kids. They don't want it to be Black. This is because this is not our stuff. We have to start creating our own stuff. And the only way we can do that is by coming together, right? The men have to come together to work with each other. The families have to come together so we can start having our own say in this country. We have to create our nation within this nation. That's the only way we're going to get out of this crap that we were in.
Well, Ty, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let Dr. Thunder say it. And but I'll say this. We've had this conversation in private, and then Dr. Thunder and Gene, I want you guys to bring it home. It's late, but when you look at the Democratic election that happened, our women, a large portion of them, showed Black men what their loyalty was. Their loyalty was not to the power of Black men and Black family. Their loyalty was to individualism. So even though it's wishful thinking that we would change the course, I don't think it's going to ever happen because people are too set in their ways and too indoctrinated. And, it's wishful thinking. And I love your optimism. But the 2020 election showed where a lot of our women's hearts were at. It wasn't for the Black man and the Black family. It was for themselves. And because of that, there's going to be a price to pay. Dr. Thunder, I want you to give us a quick snafu, and then Gene, we're going to take it home because I'm tired. So go ahead, Dr. Thunder. Give us a quick snapshot of that conversation about what Dr. Thunder said. And Dr. O, I love you, sis. You always bring great ass insight. I know you got a season of food. I'm going to have to come down and text get some of that meatloaf and cold water cornbread. I don't want to get fat though. I didn't drop my 100 pounds. But thank you, dear. I love you. But go ahead, Dr. Thunder, real quick. Thank you, Doc.
So we know that slavery got the ball rolling, but really what we're dealing with in our community is the reverberations, the artifacting from forced integration. So because prior to the 60s, you saw high percentages of marriage in the Black community, and the out of wedlock birth rate was very low. And then you fast forward, and now you have 75-80% out of wedlock birth rate, and we lost all of our lost our economic power. Though Black people spend $1.7 trillion per year, $1.7 trillion, it's almost none of it is in Black-owned businesses and supporting things. So during times of segregation, we had to depend on each other, and we had to deal with each other. But now that and the way that the integration, the way it worked, which was not, it wasn't a sort of fair integration. What basically happened was they shipped Black folks to white neighborhoods. They didn't ship any white folks to Black neighborhoods. That would have been a balanced integration, but this is not what happened. So all of our sort of economic power got dispersed, and now we're to the point where we don't even trust Black folks. We don't trust that you know, if you're going to have a certain kind of surgery, you know, and do I want the black doctor or do I want the white doctor? And I think disproportionately you see that people, when they actually choose something, they're going to choose based on these sort of deep distrust that we have of black people, and that's a big issue. Now, Tommy Curry, I don't know if you all know who Tommy Curry is.
I know him. Dr. Tommy Curry. I know him.
Yes, The Man Not. It's a great book. I think everybody should read that book. So I think what we're seeing now too is it's kill the buck. It's kill the buck. So during slavery, after slavery, you know, you kill the buck. You make an example of the strong black man to create fear, so that the black community would, you know, stay in line, so to speak. And actually, the right to vote, the early feminism, actually they used this fear of, you know, black rapists, you know, these black men that are running around trying to rape women, which was not really what was going on. They used that as a way to gain power. And so this whole patriarchy, what the feminists want you to believe is that black men are in some way attached to the patriarchy, that we have some sort of power that you know, that women don't have, that we were just as culpable for persecuting women and keeping women and you know, under our feet and all that kind of stuff. But we never had that power. And all of this, all of the stats that a lot of these political movements like Black Lives Matter that they use, they try to they refuse to disaggregate the numbers. So when they say, look, black people are being persecuted, black people mass incarceration, black people disproportionate brutality by police, or like this. No, it's not black people, it's black men. It's black men that we're talking about. 900,000 black men in jail, only about 65,000 black women. I mean, can you even think of a situation where a black woman, I mean, I think I can think of maybe one or two where a black woman was physically brutalized by police? No, but of course there's, the news does these 24-hour news cycles on every time a black man is being brutalized by a white cop. I think that's actually an artifact from Kill the Buck. I think it also is an artifact from during slavery time, when they would put the dead body of the slave on the master's porch so that everybody could see. What's happening to our community is the men have been targeted and are being annihilated, and that is destroying everything in the community. And unfortunately, I think black women unknowingly have been complicit because white feminism does not work for black women. White feminism does not work for black women because the issues are not the same issues.
Not the same issues, right?
They never were. So I'll just let that be my last.
No doubt, man. Love, Doc. I love that, man. Look forward to the show, man. Hopefully we can do it soon. So, guys, once again, please share this show. This is a star-studded show. A lot of intellectual inquiry. We had Beth Payne. We have Dr. O that's off Dr. Thunder. He's a stalwart. And up-and-coming Seven Smalls, the kosher clinician. And so we do these shows once again to empower men, because a lot of men are suffering in silence to the point that they have a terminology that I call a schema affliction. Once again, a schema affliction is a pattern of thought where men mindset are fixated, and because of that fixation, they become afflicted in pain because nobody hear their stories. So if you like what I'm doing, please $ cash out 7 smalls. To the guys that are listening, thank you. And also remember, I'm going to start doing non-diagnostic consultations soon. I'm going to start doing non-diagnostic consultations soon, where you can call me and we can talk about some of the issues that we have. And I'm going to give you my professional opinion on what's going on from a non-diagnostic perspective. And I'm going to teach you how to get the things that you want in a more holistic manner. So once again, Gene is going to bring it home. Like, share, and subscribe. Please $ cash out 7 smalls. And thank you, Gail. You know, I love you to death. You're so funny. You better pick that phone up. I love you to death, Gail. Pick that phone up. But you'll pick that phone up. But I love you, Gail. But real quick, Gene, bring it home. And Beth, thank you, dear. I love you as well.
I'll make it brief, brother. Yeah, I agree with everything everyone else has said. Also, three additional things that I think are problematic are the embracing of anti-intellectualism in the Black community.
Yes.
The embracing of anti-accountability in the Black community, and the rise of simp culture in the Black community. So like a lot of the things that we complain about when it comes to Black women and their mindset and their behavior, a lot of that stuff is promoted, you know, by these simps. You know, anytime you try to bring accountability into the equation, more often than not, a simp will come into the space and try to get, you know, sexual favors from the same woman that you're talking to by just co-signing and agreeing with what they're saying, even when it's, you know, 1,000% incorrect. So, no, those three things have hurt us greatly, man. You know, that when you quote stats and, you know, statistics and science and use anecdotal evidence, empirical data, like people act like their opinions and their feelings trump facts and data, like that they're more valid, they're more real. You know, accountability is hate. You hold someone accountable, you hate them,
right? Or you're bashing them, right?
And then again with the simp culture, so it's like those things have hurt the Black community greatly. And I think, you know, and I know you agree with me that, you know, this discussion that we're having, where we're talking to, you know, we're letting women know what men think,
right?
But also at some point we have to directly address these simps, because they're undermining, like anything that you try to do, they're going to undermine it.
Right.
That's what they do. So they need to be dealt with.
Right. I totally agree. Well, listen, it's 42 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock in California. I think Beth is probably about 8 o'clock. She's scrolling on easy. But Beth, I love your intellectual acumen. I love it. I love your intellectual acumen. I knew there was something beautiful about you that I like. I think it's that what I call that Leo Aquarian flavor. You know, Leos and Aquarius have an appeal for one another because of our intellectual acumen. And, you know, we got my man Ty Cutton in the house. He got that Leo swag like me. And we got the conscious crab over here. You know, we're going to get the show popping soon. But like I said, if you guys like what we're doing, donate to these shows. These shows are very time consuming. I think I'm going to take a Sabbath tomorrow. And I'm going to take some time off.
Yeah, we're gonna all take a Sabbath. I enjoyed spending the last 2 and 12 minutes, and it's still counting hours with y'all. This has been a date. I feel like we all went out on a date.
We did.
And I really enjoyed myself with this multiple date that we had all together, hanging out, having a conversation. I broke bread. I was eating. Y'all was talking. I was eating and drinking. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And I think it's beautiful that we can agree in certain areas, disagree in others, and still laugh and have a good time.
Right.
And
That's
I
what
think
you be.
even that being shown to, and I learned things from all of you today. I got a perspective that I would not have gotten on my own today. So the men who have spoken already and the men that are still here, thank you for being honest and being transparent on how you feel. Oh, I'll come back here. Being transparent in how you feel and your experiences, because they do matter. Your pain is real. It's valid. You don't need me to validate why you feel what you feel, because you feel what you feel. And I think, ladies, that's it. When we're talking to someone, when you're dealing with a man who's sharing and expressing himself with you, he's not looking for your validation. He just wants to vent, just like we do.
Right.
And so, if it is not compatible with you, stop wasting both of your time. Don't try to use him for what he has. Don't try to use him to pay your bills and manipulate him sexually, emotionally, or spiritually, or with your children that you all both have, because you're trying to get over. It's wrong.
No doubt. I totally agree.
So we have to really step up to the plate of being responsible for how we treat the men in our lives, whether or not we are physically with them or not, because they do need us. They do need our support. We don't have to emasculate them. We don't have to be with them if we don't want to. And we also don't have to tolerate disrespect from them either. You can listen and leave. You don't have to take it.
Right. Well. So once again, Gail, not Gail, but Beth, I would love to have you back. And the next time, whatever you're drinking, give me some. You do that
kombucha. It's
kombucha.
Right.
Listen. Listen.
I drink that.
Right. Listen.
So good for you.
It's good.
Listen, Beth. I need you to listen, because this is a Leo moment.
Escúchame. Talk to me like you was talking in Brazil. Escuche. Listen.
On to the bank. But like this is a Leo moment. Like Lotus Lux say, I love you. But you do that again, like Lotus Lux say, you're gonna get this work. But I love you though. I love you. So listen, guys.
Dude, have a good night, brother.
I love you, Beth. Please come back. Listen,
I love me too.
Listen, Beth. Listen, Beth. This is what I want you to do, Beth. If you come back again, bring some of your girlfriends, because we need these kind of discussions. But they gotta be civil. We ain't gonna tolerate no disrespect. But if you can, the next time, no, not you. I'm not talking about you.
Why?
No. You missed my point. You missed my point, Gail. Beth. We just want to have different opinions, and I love your insight. So I want them to come on and give countering opinions, as long as they come in a spirit of respect. So Gail, thank you for that gut health, and start picking up that damn phone, Gail.
Yeah, Gail, you know about that gut health, honey.
Y'all know about that. You know how y'all Scorpios are.
I drink kombucha all the time.
All right, but listen, Snake Whisperer, I gotta go. I'm tired. Love you, brother. And like I said, if you like,
you guys can follow my Instagram, Beth Payne all day, if you want. Oh, I did it wrong. It's Payne. Okay, I spelled my last name wrong.
The whole show is
wrong. The whole time.
Well,
can somebody put I'm not even signed up to the thing. Could somebody put Beth P.A. It's at Beth BETH PAYNE.
Hold up, Beth. Hold up, Beth.
I just noticed, because I'm tired,
Okay, it's okay, Beth. Calm down,
dear. The blood sugar ain't right when I signed up. The whole time people looking for her. Who is Beth Pay all day?
Well, that's what it is.
That's what you're supposed to do, is give me a coin. Give me a
Okay, well, I'm gonna come in California and give you a king hug. But anyway, we're about to sign off.
That can't buy my books.
Well, get your books out. We'll get the people to buy your books. We'll promote you. I'll promote you on this channel, sis.
No, like I'm in school, so listen, ladies, the best thing you can do for yourself, heal your hurts and heal your wounds.
Right.
So that way you're going to get with somebody who you're not looking to fix you.
Right.
Validate you and be whoever that is that God called you to be.
No doubt.
You're
No
not
doubt.
freaking prostitute.
No
Okay.
doubt.
So
No
don't
doubt.
prostitute your energy.
All right. But listen, about to sign off, Beth. Love you. It's about 11:40. 40.
I'm gonna give me a hug. Hug yourself. Everybody just
all right, I'm gonna put Beth in time out. But
I'm so sleepy.
but it's
I
about,
have had no
it's
nap
about-
today.
all right, we got you. Hold up, Beth.
She's out of control.
This is about 40 minutes out of the hour. So we're about to sign.
4 in the morning, you got me up all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say